This meeting will be held in Town of Ayer Council on Aging Board meeting, August 11th, 2026 at 2 p.m. This meeting will be held in person at the location provided on this notice. Members of the public are welcome to attend this in-person meeting. Please note that while an option for remote attendance and/or participation via Zoom is being provided as a courtesy to the public, the meeting/hearing will not be suspended or terminated if technological problems interrupt the virtual broadcast, unless otherwise required by law. Members of the public with a particular interest in a specific item on this agenda should make plans for in-person versus virtual attendance accordingly. This meeting will be live on Zoom. The public may access the proceeding by joining Zoom meeting ID number 375-414-6055 or by calling 929-205-6099. For additional information about remote participation, please contact Carly Antonellis, Assistant Town Manager, atm@ayer.ma.us or at 978-772-8220 extension 100 prior to the meeting. So I'll call the meeting to order. Somebody want to second that?
Oh, second.
All right. We have to do the roll call, I suppose. Cheryl, you agree to calling the meeting to order?
I do.
Marge? Aye. Dennis?
Aye.
All right. So welcome participants. I'm very happy to have you here. So what we're going to do, I figured it's a jam-packed meeting today and with some I can't even think, potential residents that are looking for the letter of interest for the open board position. There are a couple of items I thought maybe we could move to September's meeting. And that was really sort of the 3 o'clock, the National Council on Aging, the center assessment, which deals with the board calendar and the review recommendations and assign ownership. Because I figured that would be a significant chunk that we could move out. Do I have?
Madam Chair, in terms of approving or amending the agenda, would it be appropriate or how do folks feel about adding to the agenda a discussion about whether or not we want to try to make an effort to increase the board membership? That is, request that the select board contemplate increasing board membership from 5 to 7 or 9. Is that a conversation folks would like to have?
I understand your thought process on that, Dennis. I honestly don't know if we're going to have enough time today to have that because we do have that hard 3:45. So as you can see, there's an awful lot on the agenda that we would rather get. So we have the election of officers and we have the candidates here for discussion purposes and understanding what their interests are. I don't think we're going to have time to have that discussion.
But that was a comment I made to Katie too, that we could increase the board if we went to the select board.
Right, but for the purposes of this discussion,
Right.
how do you feel about having that conversation in this meeting as part of the agenda? Or would you like to defer that conversation to, I guess, September's meeting and then revisit it?
Can I make a recommendation? I would recommend that without getting into the discussion, that you consider the timeline of town meeting.
Yeah.
When making that decision and whether or not you just need to have a separate, like, single item agenda meeting at another date to discuss it.
So in order to Well, town meeting, as I know everybody's fully aware, occurs in late October. And after the meeting warrant is open, which typically occurs in mid to late August, let's say, you would then be in a position to solicit the select board to add it to add such an article to the warrant. In order to accomplish that, we would need to go to the select board, ask that they place such an article on the warrant, see if they would approve that. And then as part of that process, town council would have to review it just to make sure that the verbiage, which I think would be pretty, in this particular case, would be pro forma. But yeah, and then that would need to occur before the warrant is finalized and has to be printed and distributed through the town clerk's office.
I just don't think we have enough time today to discuss it. And that's not
Okay.
only, I mean, we can,
Yeah.
Cheryl, do you have any thoughts on it?
Madam Chair, I would like to make a motion that we table that discussion to the September meeting. In the interest of time, I think it's a discussion that we need to have. I agree with Dennis, but I would make a motion that we table it for today's meeting.
Well,
Yeah.
or not included, okay.
Yeah, just not on that one. We can also discuss potentially having a special meeting. If that September meeting isn't gonna work, we can have it, whether it's via Zoom or whatnot, but we can discuss having a separate
Okay.
meeting.
I
on
mean, that
later.
may be the way to go.
I actually think that might be, because I think that's gonna be a lengthy
Okay,
discussion and those types of things.
all right, fair enough.
All
I would
right,
agree.
So, madam, I'm sorry.
so do I hear somebody seconding the motion to move the National Council on Aging discussion to our September meeting? Along with, we also have the air affordable housing that are coming to speak with at that September meeting too.
Yep.
Do I,
So move. I'm sorry, a second?
all right. So I have a second, we'll take a roll call. Cheryl,
Aye.
Marge, Dennis,
Aye.
and Mary is it, okay. All right, so we're gonna review and approve the minutes from March of 2026 and April of 2026.
You all already had all of them?
Yep. I didn't, did you see anything in, Cheryl or Marge, did you see anything in meetings that needed to be adjusted?
No.
No, I didn't either. All right,
I would
so I'll
like to make a
motion.
motion that we accept those minutes as prepared by Dennis. Good job, Dennis.
Thank you.
I'll second that. So we'll see all in favor. Cheryl,
Aye.
Marge, Dennis,
Aye.
and Mary is yes. All right. So is there any public input? No, all right. Moving right along. Okay, so now we have residents that have submitted letters of interest to the Board of Selectmen for the open board seat. We have two here. One of them is Jack Griffin and the other is Maya Trevellini. Welcome, both of you.
Yeah.
All right,
Thanks for coming.
thank you for coming. All right. So Maya, would you like to come up and join us and come first? And sort of talk to us about why you'd like to have the open seat on the board?
First, you should state her name and address for the public record.
Yes, I will do that. I'm just. And then, we have some questions as the board too.
Sure.
So we'll let you go first, but if you state your name and address for the official record.
All right, Maya Trevellini, 1A Turtle Hill Road in Ayer, Massachusetts, 01432.
Very good. Welcome. So tell us why you're interested in, we read your letter of interest, so I guess, some of the things that we're looking for from the board, and there are lengthy questions here. What interests you in being a board member, and are there any goals that you think that the board should tackle?
Well, first, just to share a little bit about my background, I used to work for United Healthcare. I was with United Healthcare for 12 years in the, senior care options and the network director currently at Mass General Brigham. And currently my role is to build networks for our aging population, as well as our, population with disabilities and or behavioral health opportunities. So in my everyday work, being able to translate what I do at work at Mass General into my own community and to be a part of how I can make or be a part of the success of what our aging population using some interested in.
Are there any goals that you sort of see that the board maybe take?
Well, the first thought I have with, understanding that the senior center is the new one is going to take place later this fall, right?
I believe that's when we break ground, is we're
Yes.
anticipating that. So we're probably from that, we're what, about 18 months out before an opening, probably?
So I'm most interested in the services that we can provide our aging population here in Ayer and what sort of partnerships can we bring in? For instance, there are many tools out there for not just our Asian population, but people who need services. And so, for instance, one of the things I find very helpful is a tool called Find Help, and this connects everyone to resources out there in the community to help them live healthier lives in their current locations. And so I think having services available for our aging population is so important because we need to ensure that they, live with dignity, that they have access to the proper resources. And it's our responsibility as a community to be a part of that for our population.
Okay. So multifaceted question. What do you currently know about the center and have you had any interactions with it? Either by stopping by or attending or speaking to somebody who's been here? And can you think of activities that may not be being offered that you might advocate for?
So unfortunately, I was in an iPro audit for the state for the whole month of July, and I haven't had much time to come here to the senior center to take a look at what services are out there. So unfortunately, I don't have anything for you on that, but what happens very quickly with me is as soon as I am exposed to opportunity, then I always do my best to find ways to fill gaps in services and figure out how can we just have a better experience for just all of us humans.
Like every place, life and needs are changing very fast for the average aging person as well as the older Ayer residents. What knowledge do you have of what like our Ayer residents are, what their demographics are, and what sort of types of priorities would you see as being necessary for them?
Well, I think social isolation is huge in the aging population. So finding different opportunities to engage in the residents and not just our aging population, but how do we get our younger population involved with the aging group? How do we help connect those two, groups together? So I would really like to see our younger folks come in and be a part of the community that, we all live in.
Okay. We serve as a senior center, we serve the aging residents of Ayer. And we also serve surrounding communities. In that case, there are times where we run activities where there are residents of other towns that are not able to, that have signed up for it. So that means a resident of Ayer may not be able to attend a particular activity or trip. How would you, the new center might help ease some of the constraints, but what sort of ideas, suggestions would you have on how we're preventing that, but still allowing the maximum, you know,
Yeah, so
capacity to be used by?
is the opportunity, transportation, or is it just, the fact that the population is here in Ayer and we're kind of next to Shirley? Like,
I think
what
it's
is-
all of them, because, you know, we do service, so as a member, you can come to Air, Shirley, Groton, Harvard, those types of things, but our capacity is limited simply because of the space in a lot of cases. And as it is if we take, say, a van trip.
Mhm.
So sometimes is we roll out the processor, we roll out a trip and we reserve the first week for Air residents.
We don't
Okay.
really have any policy.
Okay, so-
differentiating.
So we just open it up and a lot of the residents from other towns get that newsletter or get that. So, and they may be here
Mhm.
having lunch or having whatever, and they sign up for the trip. Meaning then that an Air resident doesn't have the opportunity to sign up.
Oh,
So it's sort of that, because there's 14 seats on the bus.
right. And so we're in a situation where there could be 10 Ayer residents and 4 Shirley
For non-residents, correct.
And how do we address, ensuring that our residents of Ayer are selected to attend these events? Is there opportunity to open up, like, I would think about more transportation.
Okay.
Vendors, right? So there are a lot of resources out there where they provide, free transportation and or, a reduced, transportation cost. I think even Find Help does a little bit of that for our residents.
Okay. Have you ever been a member of a board before?
I have not. I have not. This
Was
would
it
be my
sort of
first
looking for, or, or a nonprofit, sort of trying to find out
Yeah.
experience levels? Would you have issues holding an office? And our office terms run typically for a year, from July 1st. Yes, we're a little late during our elections this year, July 1st to June 1st to June 30th.
Yeah, I would not have any issues serving, I was with Merck Pharmaceuticals for 15 years, United for 12, and now this is my third
Yeah.
job at Mass General Brigham. So I tend to stay where I'm at for a very long time.
Okay.
So a 3-year term does not seem very long, because
Okay.
there's a lot of work to do, right?
Yeah, there can be, yes.
Yes.
What experiences or skills do you think of yours that would benefit us on the board?
I think understanding the aging population and the services they need, because that's what I do. I build networks. I contract adult day health centers, group adult foster care, homemakers, people that go into our aging population's home to help them live healthier lives in their home and or in the community. So understanding what our population needs is probably one of my, biggest strengths. Organization. I'm very organized and being a network director at Mass General Brigham, that's a huge network that you have to manage and maintain with all your providers, your physicians, your hospital groups and all that good stuff. So I just think the skills that I have from my experience in this space for over 15 years will be beneficial. And I just have to say, my mother never got to age in place. And it's always been very important to me. Because my mom wasn't able to age in place, she passed very young. That I would like to, be a part of a community that really looks at our aging population and takes care of them.
Board members are strongly encouraged to volunteer for events at the center or assist the director with other opportunities that benefit the town. Is that an issue to you?
Not at all. I built, in collaboration with an organization called Kaboom, I built over, not myself, but a group of us have built at least 15 playgrounds, 1 gymnasium, and a few other things that we've done. Volunteering for healthcare organizations is really important that we get out there in community. So
We're not as big as that. This is like
Uh-oh.
doing like ice cream, the ice cream social, helping serve that. So like the holiday meals here, that type of stuff, or assisting on, we have a picnic in the park one day. Those are the types of things. We're not out building.
We're not building a playground, okay?
Yeah, wait till I get a shovel for the
Oh, yeah,
Yeah, we're not.
Yeah, but that's true. That will be a playground. That'll be nice.
Mhm.
How would you be at advocating for older adults in the town? Like, you've got a lot of experience at, those types of things, but are you willing to and open to advocating for them at a town meeting, at an open meeting? So speaking in public with that type of stuff, or speaking to a group of people?
Absolutely. And the first part in being able to speak to an open group is to sit down with that population to get feedback on what is it that they need, and so that I can advocate for them. So really facilitating, we have consumer advisory boards at, MGB, we have, focus groups, and sitting down and understanding what the population needs is key to building anything for a group.
So this is the last question from us.
But I can talk for 2 hours, so.
Today you could.
That's right.
I didn't know I was gonna do an interview.
Well, we attempted out to ask the board if there was questions,
Yeah.
sort of like everyone, each one of us sort of has different strengths and weaknesses and those types of things in different areas of interest. So it was sort of trying to get them. They all were the same, similar, but it was trying to get them all into one. So there wasn't 100 questions out here. A few years ago, we defined a policy for the Board of Aging, and that was on, covers meetings, attendance, board responsibility, and those types of things. So we meet at the second Tuesday of every month at 2 p.m. And it is expected that members will attend regular meetings and prepare to actively participate in discussions and the decisions. You see conflicts with when meetings are held or anything else like that?
Not at all.
Okay.
I've talked to Mass General's legal team, because I went ahead and sent over a conflict of
Yeah.
interest to ensure that there was no conflict of interest between the work that I do for Mass General and the Council on Aging. And I also shared with my senior vice president that this is something I will, possibly be doing once a month on a Tuesday at 2:00, as well as what you just shared. There are some opportunities during the work week that I could attend events. So I do have that flexibility.
All right, so I will give you a copy of this. It is publicized on our, what, is it a website that we have or just a page or?
It's a page of the town's website.
Yeah, so it is there. It's public property. I guess, is there any questions that you have of the board?
Well, I did,
And
know.
I apologize. We should have introduced ourselves in the beginning.
Oh, yeah, that would have been fun.
That would have been really nice. I apologize for that.
That's okay. I think questions come as I listen and engage. I don't like to be premature with a lot of questions, because a lot of what I do is I actively sit back and listen, and that's how I'm able to make a difference.
Okay,
Yeah, so I don't have anything as of right this moment.
all right. So let's rectify that introduction, and will also be for the benefit of Jack too. I'm Mary Markov, and I'm currently the chair of the board, and I have been a board member for 3 years, 4 years, something like that. So then we'll go to March.
I'm not with you. I've been on board for
It's, y'all have been here for a while.
a while.
Yeah, all right. Cheryl, how about you?
Yes, welcome. I'm Cheryl Boise. I live in Ayer over on Snake Hill Road, and I've been on the board for a little over a year. I'm an interim board member.
Oh, no, you're not. Now you're legitimate, Cheryl.
No,
You
I'm
just-
okay, good. I guess I'm legitimate now. That's great. Great news.
Cheryl was filling in the end of a term of somebody,
Yeah.
so last
Right.
year.
I'm remote because I am homebound. So when you spoke to the social isolation of elders, I absolutely understand that. So
Yeah.
that's why I'm zooming in. But welcome. Thank you for your interest, both of you.
And
And my name is Dennis Curran, and I've been a board member for probably 6 years, 5 years, and I am currently acting with the town clerk, not the town clerk, the board, the COA board's clerk,
I'm gonna tell Susan you said that.
with the emphasis on the word acting.
Alright.
I'm Katie Petrossi, I'm the council on aging director.
I didn't
We
mean to,
meet you in person, we talk on the phone.
Yes, indeed, yep.
I didn't mean to gloss over you, Katie.
It's okay,
I
but the
presumed you
board
would
was
all-
doing their introductions first, it's all good.
I presumed you had already met. Yep, thank you very much for coming in, Meyer, and thank you very much for your interest.
Yeah,
Thank you very
You're
much.
welcome to go, you're welcome to stay for the rest of the meeting, whatever you
It's up
would
to
like
you.
to do.
I would love to serve. That way, that's how I know what my questions will be.
Yes,
That's fine.
Well, that's very impressive.
Come on up, Jack. So if you would state your name and address.
Jack Griffin, 20 Lincoln Street, Air, Massachusetts.
All right, thank you very much for your interest, Jack.
Anytime.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
We got your letter of intent, so we had an opportunity to read it. We have the same questions as we asked Maya. We're gonna
Sure.
ask you.
Yeah.
Were you paying attention? You taking notes?
As much as I could hear, yeah.
You want to turn the air conditioner off, it's a little loud.
Is it too loud? So I guess the first thing that starts off, what interests you in being a board member? And are there any goals you would specifically like to see the board take on and tackle?
Actually, I'm very active with the board and with the COA right here, because I call bingo on Thursdays. Okay, I volunteered to do it because I really enjoyed it. I like the people. I love the people. I love the town. We lived in Littleton for 53 years and we moved. I never thought I'd ever live in here, but I love it here. And the people are great. The library, everything else is 100%. So whatever I can possibly do, to facilitate my existence here, I want to do,
All right,
And as far as my education is concerned, right? I quit school in 11th grade. Joined the Navy, spent 4 years in the Navy. After the Navy, I wound up studying a bathtub, electronics, electricity, became a technician, wound up being a test technician, I had a flair for writing, so I wound up becoming a technical writer. Then I worked my way up into, wound up being a manager of educational services at Digital Equipment Corporation. I had like 53 people in my group, and I had 3 managers reported to me, Then I retired at 51.
Wow.
Okay, because I've been there. And I was walking along the buses one day and this woman yells out, "You wanna drive a school bus?" I said, "Yeah, why not?" So he thought I was kidding. Next day I went out, got my CDL license. 23 years in Littleton driving a school bus. I didn't need the money. I just loved the kids.
Yeah.
And I loved the parents. And all the 23 years that I drove a school bus, I've never had confrontation with a single parent. And it's been, and it's finally at 86 years old, they said, Jack, we're starting to have some concerns. I said, I could understand why. Well, while I'm ahead, So we can use it to monitor that. I said, you don't understand. I never did this for the money. Okay, I never did it for the money. I did it because I love the kids and I love the parents. And I love this. This is a great organization. And I like to be a part of it, whatever I can do to help,
so this is gonna seem a little bit redundant.
Yeah.
Because the next question, but we ask it of everybody, is what do you know about the center? Have you had any interactions with the center? And are there any activities not currently offered that you would advocate for? So we know you already volunteer here and you're active in it.
Yeah.
But is there any other, and understanding right now currently the space considerations, but are there any other activities that maybe you think should be offered or maybe considered to be offered?
Well, I'm not into the exercise or anything like that, but any of the special events that they come up with, usually participate in,
Okay,
for the most part, And like I say, I really enjoyed calling bingo, believe it or not. And I never thought I'd ever play bingo. let alone call it, you know? My wife used to call it, but she has some problems with it. So I said, "I sure, I'll do that." So I've been doing that now for the last year. And I love the people. I enjoy doing what I'm doing. And, yeah, I've got plenty of energy. Just turned 90, had a big party for me. I'm
Happy
still,
birthday.
still up and running.
All right. All right, so lives and needs are changing fast for the aging
Oh, yeah.
or older. You,
What you see is what you get.
yeah, you know, so like this one here is what knowledge do you have of the daily life of an Air senior center user? You know, you really sort of are the epitome of that, Jack.
I go
Again, you're
every week
here,
I'm here, yeah.
There again too is, are there any top two activities you'd like to see for the aged seniors in town or the aged population in town? Is there anything that you can see that needs?
I really can't see, except for the transportation could be
Yeah.
improved. That is one thing that they
Yeah.
could do, because we need more vans. We don't have enough vans to facilitate the activities sometimes that we have, you know? It's very, very tight.
Okay,
And other than that, just continue on what I'm doing.
all right. In all your experiences, have you been a member of a board, either municipal, nonprofit, or corporate? And would you have any issues holding an office?
Oh, but I was a Sea Scout advisor. Some years back, you
All
know?
right,
But, short of that, no.
all right. Our terms, they said to Maya, our terms are 1 year. For the officer.
Yeah.
It's a 3-year term for the board. Any particular skills or experience of yours that you would see benefiting us as a board, as a community?
Well, I have pretty much of an open mind. You know, I'm all for the new center that they're gonna build
Yeah.
in there. That's gonna be great. I'm all for, my wife's not. She's not, but I am.
I'm sorry, you said your wife is,
Well, she goes along with it, you know, but I think it's a great idea.
Oh, I see.
The new COA, that's
Yeah.
gonna be really, the new facility, that's gonna be really nice. So I'm for that. I'm all for that.
All right. Out of all your experiences, what experiences or skills of yours do you think will benefit us the most on the board?
The ability to analyze and make decisions on different events.
Okay. We instituted a policy a few years ago on attendance and those types, attendance and responsibilities and expectations. As you know, we meet the second Tuesday of every month.
Yep.
And the expectation is members will attend regular meeting and actively participate in discussions and decisions. Do you see any conflict with that?
No.
All right. As board members, we're strongly encouraging everybody to volunteer for events either at the center or to assist the director of opportunities that benefit the aging adults in town. So,
I don't have a problem at all. Yeah,
all right. And if you were a board member, would you have any issue advocating for the older and adults in Air as part of the board members, speaking at town meetings, speaking at a public meeting, like a select board meeting or something else like that, and advocating?
No problem at all.
All right. Do you have any questions of us as the board?
Not really. I just think, like I say, I think this is a great opportunity for anybody that's interested in, you know, advancing the aged population, and I'm all for it. Whatever I can do, help anybody will know that we're still volunteering.
No. Thank you very much, Jack. Appreciate it. Appreciate your interest.
very
Appreciate your interest as well too, Maya.
You're out of the hot seat now, Jack.
Yeah.
I haven't gotten, I'm not as glib as I would like to be. Okay,
Thank you, Jack.
I have a question
Appreciate
for Jack. I have a question
Yeah.
for Jack. I want to know what you do to keep yourself so active and energy driven and have so much enthusiasm. Where does that come from?
I have no idea. I'll tell you, everybody else, they think I'm 70, 75.
I
But I'm
know.
actually, yeah, and so I cut my own lawn, do all my own, I do all my.
Oh my
heavy
God, God bless. You're an
Yeah.
inspiration. You're an inspiration.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
All right, so Did you hear from the other candidate at all?
I didn't, I guess I should state for the record that each of the candidates reached out through the official channels of the town manager's office and then were referred to me, and each of them had a conversation with me about what the next steps would be, and they were told that the meeting was today, and that it would be an opportunity to meet and observe a meeting and express their interest. So they all heard that, so.
All right.
Okay.
Thanks, Jeff.
I can
You
reach out
can
to
stay
the candidate
if you wish,
afterwards.
or
Okay.
you can leave. It's
I
up
can
to
reach out to the other candidate
It's up to you.
afterwards.
Yeah, well, yeah.
All right. All right. So that's it. Katie, you're up with your director's reports.
All right, I was thinking that, and I think I gave away, can I steal that paper copy just so I have it? Let me give away paper copies.
The director's comment.
You have one? If not, Mary, there's a paper one on the chair behind you if you need a paper copy.
So he's got the agenda. I think he was just, oh, are you looking for that?
Oh, yeah, the color properly. There it is.
Oh, I thought I put one at your seat.
Oh, you
Maybe I
may well
did.
have. Yes, you did.
Okay, all right, as long as everyone has one.
You have it? All right.
Do you have-
Yeah, Katie had put them up there. Wow.
Great. So the director's report, I wasn't gonna go over, I know we took a couple of months off for the summer, and due to various scheduling issues. So you guys all have my June and July director's report, which is typically the 1-page document. I will go over August. As you can see, it's bigger this month than it typically is because I incorporated the fiscal year analysis and the trend analysis that the board had previously decided that they wanted to see once a year, just to look overall and to start meeting the qualifications for the national accreditation standards. So I guess I can just go through August pretty quickly. I did find out a few weeks ago that we will be closed again for 2 weeks in September. I was told it would be 2 days when this project started, because as you guys recall, we were closed for 2 weeks in May for them to start this repaving project. I was told it would be 2 weeks, maybe in August, and then it got pushed to September.
Do you know
So-
what weeks they are yet?
No. The Housing Authority is aware of when my newsletter publishing deadlines are, and they are trying to work with me on it. It's a pain, but the end result is worth it for the folks that live here. So I'm trying to roll with it as much as possible. I do think this time, though, we're going to try and arrange to do lunches at a different location. It was really hard on folks when we were closed for 2 weeks in May. Our most vulnerable clients really had trouble with it. So I think we are going to see, if it's September, we may try and hold lunch daily down at the park. I wasn't going to do that in August because with the weather being hot, depending on when it is in September, we may be able to do that. If not, the town manager's office is willing to work with us once we have the dates to see if the upstairs at town hall is available. The issue with that is that the parking situation is not great there. So,
Just
Yeah.
make it mandatory.
right, the bus, I want to be able to offer the bus for it, except that the bus is really at its capacity. And so to bring more people to lunch is going to cut into medical appointments. And we're already kind of flat out at or above capacity for transportation as it is. So we'll work
Are you
those
thinking
pieces
about
out.
renting a tent to keep up for the 2 weeks? I mean, to have it in place, put tables down there?
I hadn't made it that far yet because it also wouldn't surprise me if it became October. So, so I haven't made it that far yet. I would prefer not to do that. The department, I mean, renting a tent that would hold 24 people for tables and chairs would be a significant expense. And by the time we roll into September, fall youth sports is happening. So I would need to collaborate with Parks and Rec and work around that anyway. My preference would be town hall, maybe. I gotta work it out. I just wanted to give you guys a heads up that it's not going to be the 2 days that they
Are
originally.
there other alternatives? So you're leaving open the possibility of potential other alternatives beyond town hall and down here?
What about Pleasant Street? Do they have any place that?
They don't, I mean, they have a community room, but I think it holds, you'd be hard pressed to put 12 people around tables there.
How about St. Andrews, the basement of St. Andrews?
I was trying not to incur departmental expenses for renting space, because
Okay.
there's a significant amount of back and forth with stuff for supplies and things like that. So I was trying to,
So to what extent would the housing authority be on the hook for any
I mean,
expenses?
that's a really
incurred?
nice idea,
What's
but
that?
I said, that's a really nice notion, but no, they're not gonna pay for me to be anyplace else.
Have you had a conversation with the town administrator's office regarding the town picking up the tab for the 2 weeks of expense or whatever it turns out to be?
So I really wanted to get the dates hammered down first, because when we thought it was August, town hall was able to accommodate us. So that would have been a simple transfer and no cost. So I think that's the goal, is that's the easiest collaboration. It's the hardest in terms of parking, but it's the easiest and the lowest cost collaboration. And then, after that, it could be a minimal use of the tables and chairs down at Parks and Rec without incurring expensive.
Could
So
we use any of the public school cafeterias?
How many people have big, tents? We have one that fits like 35 people, maybe.
yeah, we'll be in touch about that. I gotta see, again, as soon as we get the date,
Mhm.
we'll be able to plan accordingly.
So
Cheryl, what was your question?
My question was, could we use space at any of the public schools, their cafeteria?
No, well, at the high school, at least the cafeteria is already in use during lunch hours and in September anyway. And it's undersized. And I also cannot Cory check each and every participant of the senior center, which would be required for them to be a visitor in.
All right, no, sorry about that.
And
Oh,
Madam
no, it's a
Chair,
great-
if I could just jump in real quick from the town hall perspective, we're happy to work with Katie. Besides the parking, we do have 2 elections and early voting, which is upstairs in the Great Hall. So as long as we're not voting up in the Great Hall, we will certainly play host. We're happy to help. We were as surprised as Katie to learn that it was going to be another 2 weeks, because we were all told it would be an additional 2 days in the fall. But if we can work something out, typically on voting days, we have our staff park elsewhere, down the street on the, so if we were to host for 3 days, we could have our staff open up spots. But we're happy to do that just to keep it, as centralized and low cost as possible. But once we get the dates from Katie, as always, we'll work with her to make it as painless as possible.
Thanks, Carly.
So and this will come as no surprise to the folks here. My overall thought on this is that the seniors who typically attend here during the week and have come to, anticipate and rely on and feel good about the lunches should not have to bear the cost of the housing authority's construction schedule on their 2 weeks worth of lunches.
Okay, yeah.
To the extent that we can find a low cost alternative that meets the needs of the seniors, that's great. If the town has to incur additional costs due to the failure of the housing authority to maintain a proper construction schedule, then in my view, the town should be willing to do that. In the absence of the housing authority being willing to do that. So those are my initial thoughts, and I would be more than happy to go to the select board and make that known. I don't know what the ultimate additional cost would be for 2 weeks of renting a tent or making obtaining a third venue. for the meals. But I think again, the seniors in town who have come to rely on that program should not bear the cost of the failure of the housing authority to abide by their construction schedule. And if the housing authority is unable to kind of pick up the tab or is unwilling or legally not bound to, however that's construed, then I think it would be a good gesture and an appropriate gesture on behalf of the town to find that sum of money somewhere to do it.
And I think that's reasonable. I will, as I get more information from the housing authority and I can make concrete plans and know if town hall is available. If it's not, then I will certainly keep the whole board updated on what direction and what costs are incurred as a result of that.
Is there any place here on the property that could be used for like that picnic type of thing that has some?
I mean, I think Peroni Park is really the closest.
Okay, I
because
wasn't
it's-
sure if there was anything up in this area here, or is it all just being disrupted with all of
It's
the?
pretty much all being
Oh,
disrupted
fair.
all summer long since May. There's been some portion of it disrupted.
What about the community room at the library?
There's a lot of possibilities.
Yeah.
I've just been trying to keep it as streamlined as
There's
possible.
always somebody in the community room though.
And the library has offered to collaborate, so, yeah.
Pleasant Street.
Another thought, could we cooperate with another council on aging? Like Shirley, Groton, Littleton, for those 2 weeks, just to share meals and share sites? If they have enough space.
I don't think Groton does meals during
And
the week.
Shirley only does Wednesday.
And the other thought I have is have the town pick up the tab for the back room at Tiny's for those 2 weeks, just for the meals.
They don't
Oh,
allow.
that's a good thought.
Yeah.
Mm.
So I mean, I think there's a lot of possibilities. We typically bring in restaurant catering. We could certainly visit those restaurants.
Yeah.
But being a different, that is like what I would consider to be plan B.
Yeah.
I would like to have one location so that I can say for the next 2 weeks,
Yeah.
lunches will be at this one location.
Yeah,
Because last minute changes and lots of different locations, I think will be confusing for most of our folks. But if that is not achievable, that is certainly an option. Tuesdays will be at Tiny's, Wednesdays will be at Marty's, because we have those, meals anyway. So
So
yeah,
just
so
a
stay
quick-
tuned.
quick question is how many of the people who come to lunch drive themselves versus we would be taking the bus?
I would say it's probably, oh gosh, I mean, it depends on the day, but maybe like a 50-50 split between the people who are walking here,
Yeah.
that live on site, that are walking here and ride the van versus people who are driving in.
Okay.
Yeah, so anybody who's walking, if it's not at Peroni Park, they're now gonna need a van ride.
I'm sorry,
Yeah.
50-50 about?
If I had to guess, probably 50-50. And again, it depends on the day.
Some of the people here would need a resident.
Right,
Yeah,
Yeah.
right,
yeah,
Yep.
that was sort of what I was trying to
Yeah.
yeah.
figure in, but some people drive here, so they would probably just drive to
Drive.
the station. I would presume, but they may, depending on where it is, they may not,
Right.
so.
All right, well, stay tuned. I'll keep you guys updated.
Yeah,
Again, I
just let us-
can't really make a whole lot of
Until you know.
concrete
Until you know.
decisions until I really know what the dates are, because venues, including town hall, can't give me their availability unless I have a date.
Oh, absolutely.
Um,
And they haven't given you any idea of
Mhm.
a time frame, like,
No.
we're gonna let you know 2 weeks in advance. It's
They
not
know when
gonna be,
they know when my newsletter deadline is, and they have heard me say repeatedly that I need this information to be in the newsletter because that is the primary communication pattern for our users.
You're
So-
interacting with the housing authority or with the construction people?
The housing authority for construction, that would be inappropriate for me to interact with the contractor.
yeah.
How's that? Center of the Rotary, Wendy's.
There you go, right? Yeah, well, I would have to just carry it across the street, yep. Okay, so, just a heads up, mark your calendar, the Mass Councils on Aging Conference will be October 21st to 23rd. They've moved it to Sturbridge this year. Boo. It's been in Falmouth the last 3 or 4 years, which is a beautiful location, but because attendance has been high, they've been selling out the conference, and so they were looking for something a little bit larger. COA board members are welcome and encouraged to attend. So it's all day Wednesday, all day Thursday, and a half day Friday. And there are things you should log on to MCOA online. And you can see the schedule of events, like you pretend to register, and then it gives you the like 6 or 8 concurrent sessions for each one that you can, it's like a drop down menu. So you can see what those are. My staff and I have made the decision to be day use participants in Sturbridge. We stayed overnight when we were in Falmouth, but
That makes sense.
we're just gonna drive to Sturbridge. So I won't be using up the entirety of that portion of my budget. So, in the past, COA board members have needed to volunteer their time in order to go, and then the conference has given free registration to those folks. I don't know if they're still doing that. I would still pursue that. But if someone would like to attend and it's a financial hardship to do the 1-day registration or whatever it is, please see me and let me know.
Right.
So how many seats, like, are we talking 150 people, 300 people, 700 people?
So there's 352 towns or something in Massachusetts, and I would say probably
365, isn't it?
351.
Okay. So, I would say 90% of towns are there, and, most of them send between 1 and 3 people.
Wow. Okay.
So it's several hundred people.
All right.
It's a great conference. There's really good information, and they track it. Things that might be interesting for directors, things that might be interesting for outreach workers, program coordinators, there's professional development, there's, like self-care items for, tracks for staff. There's a lot of different things to see and learn about. And yeah, that's always a chore to figure out what I want to attend.
Right,
Many
so-
good options.
Sort of on that tone and not to take away from Katie's report, but about 6 months ago or a year ago, the Groton Senior Center sort of was out visiting all of the COA boards in the surrounding towns in this area. And they are trying to put together a group of those local COA boards. So it's not to be confused with the bigger one, but this is a smaller one. So they are also having a small board conference center on Thursday, October 1st. From 10 to 12 at the Groton Senior Center. So-
And that is focused exclusively on COA boards and
Members,
COA
yeah.
board functioning.
And-
Versus the Massachusetts Councils on Aging is
More
about
the
senior
senior
center
center,
staff. Yeah.
So, but it was a good lead in, Katie, so I stole it.
Yep, I like it.
So
I'm sorry, so just
they,
so on Thursday, October 1st, Groton Senior Center is
Right.
hosting a COA board conference.
sort of, right, and it's more like from these surrounding areas or those types of things for any of the board members who would like to participate in it.
And have they distributed
They have
an
not.
agenda or?
They have just distributed this.
just
This
the-
is a sort of, I think it's gonna be, I'm getting more of the impression it's more of a, what can we do? How can we do it? Is it a good,
Like a peer network.
type of deal?
Mhm.
And I think they're sort of thinking about maybe how often to meet. It's an introductory. They haven't. I think when they were out talking to all of the Council on Aging board chairs and directors, I think they were thinking, hey, it would be a nice thing. We've all run into sort of some of this, or doing the national assessment. What have your experiences been with that? So I think it's a lot that on those ideas. So, they do want us to let them know. So if you let me know, we'll let them know who's going and who's not going on October 1st.
All right, sorry about that, Katie, but
No,
just
no worries.
check that out. So pretty typical month for July. We had 126 older adults in the building, a total of 655 times. So just as a review, unduplicated is individual discrete older adults, and duplicated is reflecting that most individuals don't come one time, they come multiple times. So 126 people came roughly 6 times, let's say, like they came 6 times a month. 790 total programming hours with an average daily attendance of 30 people. That is an average. There are many days that the attendance is much higher than 30. There are days that the attendance is lower than 30 based on what we have programmed for the day. That's the average. Looking at those 126 people, you can see the chart that breaks down, you know, how many people, unique attendees came for each type of program. This is again just focused on programs. Outreach was busy as usual. We saw 34 individuals, a total of 53 times for personal individual consultation. Housing and food access most months are the most frequently sought type of assistance, but I have the laundry list there for anything that we also helped with. And that's, these statistics are counting, you know, one-on-one interactions that we're making notes for. So if someone calls to ask the number for a durable medical equipment company, that's not getting logged in here. That's just a simple referral, but these are things that are more formal interactions. 67 older adults attended a total of 310 meals, which again makes my heart happy. We have 24 seats in our dining room. There are certain people who are here every day, but having 67 total people sit in the 24 seats lets you know that there is much more need than our space can provide. And people come based on what we're serving and what their preferences are and what their personal schedules are, of course, too. But it makes me feel good knowing that when we in the new center have more seats in the dining room, we will have more people each day.
What's the average number of people that are here for a meal? Is it do you fill most of those 24 seats, or is it?
It really varies on the day. I would say it's between like 16 and 20 on an average if I had to pick. But like this week, we are oversubscribed for every single day. And so there's a certain number of people who sign up and just don't show up because they forget or they don't feel good that day or whatever. So, you know, we allow some oversubscription. And then there's people that walk in and go, I thought I signed up. But we're completely full this week. So. And then that does not include, those numbers do not include the 15 Meals on Wheels clients that we have that received 125 meals last month. So, and again, it's nice to see that number going up. You know, a few months ago, it was starting to look kind of bleak. Those numbers were down to like 7, 8, 9 clients. And there certainly is a lot of need for Meals on Wheels. So it's nice to see some slots and some funding opening back up to Ayer from Mock.
And
And I'm saying that anecdotally because I can only assume that's the reason. So I would just go with that.
so the I don't want to call it miscommunication, but the relationship with Mock and your ability to access the information about who in Ayer was on the waiting list, I think.
Right.
And so that issue is still unresolved. Mock independently has re-signed up or has signed up additional people to bring our total up to 15.
Correct. Yeah.
But
That's very much a one-way collaboration.
yeah, but the behind the scenes maneuvering about how that happened is something you wouldn't be aware of.
I'm not privy to any of that. All I can say is that there are people that have been on the wait list that are now receiving meals. And so whether additional funding was found or whether people have fallen off the caseload in other towns and they have allocated that to Ayer, I don't know. That I don't know.
Okay.
I'm just speculating.
Yeah.
So I want to recognize that it is. Either way, I'm pleased
Oh.
that, you know, it was 35 people during COVID. I don't think it's ever gonna go back to that number.
Mhm.
But seeing it back where it is great.
Right, and I'm just trying to get a sense of how could we, or how could the town, that is, it may be that there continue to be some residents of Ayer who, for whatever reason, can't get access to Meals on Wheels.
Mhm.
And you would have no way of determining that or knowing exactly why that is.
Right.
You would only know that the number used to be 15 and now it's 10, but what happened to the 5?
Right, and I only know, for the people that I personally do the referral in
Right.
and assist with the intake.
Right.
Then I would know that I knew they met the criteria, I referred them in, and they're not getting a meal the next week, so they
Yeah,
are waitlisted. So,
okay,
but that's not every case, because people can enter into the Meals on Wheels program if they are a client of Aging Services at North Central Mass, or they could call themselves and do an intake interview. You know, that they could talk to us and we could tell them about Meals on Wheels, and they may call themselves. But those cases, I'm never gonna, again, it's one-way communication. I'm expecting to report back on the health and well-being of each of the clients. But there's
Yeah.
for the protection of the client, the communication doesn't go both ways.
for the protection of the client.
Right.
Confidentiality.
What?
Yeah,
Protecting
for
them
their,
against-
for their the confidentiality, like I don't know why someone receives Meals on Wheels. Right, like I know the criteria, so I can make some assumptions, right, but like, I don't get any of their information about why.
No, I understand.
Yeah,
It's,
yeah.
it's, all right.
Yeah. That's a whole different discussion for a different day.
Is it typically it's about a week? If you submit something in, it's typically they're on the list for the next week or for the next cycle? Is that how?
No, I've never really seen it go that fast.
Okay.
I mean, that would be great, but no, I never see it go that fast.
Alright.
So like I said, in the
Yeah, I remember you
last
saying.
2 years, I mean, it's been in some cases months and months before someone pops on, and oftentimes their health status has changed by then anyway. So, yeah.
I thought I heard you say a week, so I was just like, yeah.
Well, no, because in the past, like if there was available funding and available slots,
Yeah.
you would be able to say, you know, here's this need, we do
Okay.
take over the phone, and then, you know, a week later, they may pop
Yeah,
up
okay.
on the roster.
All right.
So, yeah. That's how I know that it's not just somebody taking their sweet old time entering the data. There's another barrier there, which is financial, right? Yeah. So, let's see, the senior center van provided 85 riders with a total of 441 trips in July. I want to go back and re-look at that data a little bit. 441 is low. We've been over 500 the last couple of months. July and August tend to be slower months, but I wasn't expecting it to be 440. We have, however, had driver vacations and things like that in that period of time, which would lower the number of rides. So shopping is the most common type of trip that we do. And of course, volunteers, 16 volunteers with the senior center working a total of almost 200 hours. We're incredibly thankful for the volunteers. You guys, your COA board time is not counted into that, but if you're volunteering elsewhere, that is included in that.
Do you have a sense of the late afternoon, early evening van? Is that well used, not as much as you would have thought?
I think there's a set of people who are willing to go shopping at 3, 4 o'clock. It's allowed us to make better use of, the neighborhood suppers, whether they're at Littleton Congregational Church or Stone Soup Kitchen. We've got a regular group that are able to utilize access to a free meal in the evenings by having that available. And it certainly has allowed us to offer more social outings during the evening hours. So we're able to we're not having to sacrifice either or in terms of shopping and medical appointments to provide the social outings.
Has it helped with medical appointments too, so they don't have to make them like between 9 and 11 every morning, gives you a little bit more?
Yeah, in theory, I'd have to dig a little deeper in the data to answer that for sure. Anecdotally, I think we saw there was going to be this huge rise in rides once the hospital closed. We haven't seen that. We've seen a decline in medical rides, and my speculation about that is that more riders who were Mass Health eligible for PT1 rides are better utilizing the PT1 resources, because
Yeah,
it used to be very convenient just to ask the COA to take you up the road to Neshoba.
yeah,
But now that they have to go further, it's more reliable or more easily scheduled to actually take the PT1 ride, which is good. That's what that is for. That's great.
Okay,
And then there's a whole set of people who are not going to the ER, to urgent care, to specialists, because they are far flung and they don't want to do it. So they're just not going on as many medical appointments as they used to. Which I think is the real unfortunate part.
But there is somebody that's wanting the van at night to go to dinner at the Point, to the movies.
Yep, we have all kinds of
Yeah,
requests.
I've seen that lately,
oh, I think.
and I think that's wonderful.
Yeah.
I think that's great. You hear from other towns as
Mhm.
nothing after 3 except for the occasional, but I think it's a great idea.
No, and I think it's wonderful
I
that,
do too. I absolutely agree.
might it be that, and I haven't thought about this, that the medical providers, following the closure of the hospital and simply asking you folks for a ride up to the top of the hill was no longer an option. Might it be that the providers at the other end, when the patient, or in that case, the patient found a new provider somewhere else, the provider was more proactive in terms of arranging for PT1, making sure that paperwork is in place so that the person could access their services through the PT1?
That's all possibility. I mean, I unfortunately just don't have enough specific data to know that. I know that there are other groups that are really advocating for transportation and trying to hone into what those barriers are. But without a broad scale survey, I don't know that I could really answer that. What I'm noticing anecdotally is people are not going to specialists, but that may not be accurate. That's what I'm just anecdotally seeing. They are putting off a lot of those appointments.
Is Mart still free?
Yes, and Mart will be free. My understanding is that Mart will be free for the foreseeable future.
Alright, what about, do they still have those other rides? Like there was, if you were within a 10-mile
Right.
radius or?
So the Emerson shuttle was discontinued
Knew that.
a while back, and then Mart Connects was providing residents of Ayer, Shirley, and Lunenburg rides within a 20-mile radius
Yeah.
of that. They have changed that still, and now residents of Ayer, Shirley, and Lancaster. I'm sorry, Lancaster. Ayer, Shirley, and Lancaster may go to Ayer, Shirley, and Lancaster. So it's
So
not
you have to
as,
stay within your own community or?
you can
go
go
to
to, you can
either.
start or finish within those 3 communities. So there's like less draw for it. And I think that has had to do with just the availability of the grant funds.
And we're not talking medical appointments in that case, that's for any purpose.
It's for any purpose, yeah.
Okay.
And it does have a wider set of hours. It's like
Yeah.
5:30 AM to 10 PM. And I
Yeah.
want to say it's 6 or 7 days a week,
Wow.
but there is a between $4 and $14, depending on how far you go.
And that was an on-demand one?
Yeah,
Yeah.
you have to schedule it 48 hours in advance, but yeah, it's an on-demand. You're the only person in the vehicle.
Yeah.
We haven't had as many people take advantage of it now that it doesn't go to as many destinations.
Yeah, like, I mean, I would think like Leominster would be,
Right, yet, it can't get there from here.
yeah.
All right, so I think that's everything. Oh, the building, the building committee update, just very briefly, we're in the final stages of NEPA and expect to have a certificate for, on Friday is the date we were given. That will roll us into the next phase of the project. The next phase of the environmental review. Public comment is pretty much closed for this phase. We've gotten comments from the public, from environmental groups, from our representatives. It's a very thorough process. There was a site walk last Friday before last, with PACE. So that is all progressing along. We obviously can't break ground or go out to bid really until that process is complete, but that is moving along. And I think I said this well, no, I didn't say it last month. We had great response to, in order to bid on the senior center project, you have to respond to a request for pre-qualification, and there's a ton of managerial and financial qualities that the general contractors have to meet in order to pre-qualified to bid on the project when we actually go out to bid. I lost the owl. So we had a tremendous response to that. I think it was 14 general contractors and over 100 subcontractors. So we feel really good that there will be some competitive bids coming in. Dennis is on that subcommittee. Do you have anything you wanted to add to that?
No, we're meeting on, the building committee is meeting on the 20th which is a public meeting for the purposes of finalizing that process. The pre-qualification committee will be meeting on the 13th just to kind of get our recommendations up. But to the bigger point, there was substantial interest in the project. There were a lot of contractors and subcontractors who submitted their paperwork to pre-qualify for the bidding. And the owner's project manager sees that as a good sign that we will have a competitive bidding process, which is what you're looking for. So
When do you plan on opening it up to the bid or going out the bid?
well, that's maybe second week in September. So on the 20th, we will notify, or on the 20th, the board will determine the definitive list of who is qualified to bid. Right after that, the bids will go out, and then I don't know, I'm guessing 2, maybe 3 weeks into the beginning, early to mid-September, for them to bid on the project.
Nice.
Yeah.
It's nice to see it coming all together.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So, at this point, is there anything else you want to do that before we get into the annual and trend stats, or do you want me to flow right on in?
Flow right on in.
All right, great. So, everything after the first page, oh, actually, you know what? I could probably put this up here. Hang on. Here we go. Wait, everybody can see it. Okay, there we go. All right, so the first part is fiscal year 2026. So that is July 1st, 2025 through June 30th, 2026. That's the town's fiscal year. I have in the past given you guys both a fiscal year and a calendar year set of summary stats. So every 6 months, you're kind of getting a different slice of it. So last year we served 400, despite our small size here, 432 clients over 7,000 times in programs alone. Social services saw 170 different unique clients over 600 times. So that shows that it's rarely, I mean, some people it's a one-time interaction, and some people there's many interactions, but if you looked at it on average, it's 6 interactions with each of the clients. That's not correct. Let me fix Meals on Wheels is correct. Yeah, 26 clients over 1,200 meals. 206 different riders took over 5,000 rides last year, which is wonderful. We've had 21 volunteers over the course of the year. People come in and out. They serve regularly or less regularly. And then those things all kind of combine together for a total of 658 people served, almost 15,000 touch points last year, which I feel really, really great about. Kind of mimicking the monthly report, I broke down those 432 just programming, like in building programming things to look and see how different users are using the building. And you'll notice they don't add up to 432 because someone could be both a nutrition person and an arts and crafts person. But the idea is to look at, you've got 30 people who came, 29 people who came 184 times total to arts and crafts. So it's a smaller group than some of ours, but some of the other ones, but they come to pretty much all the arts and crafts things that we do. One of the larger groups is nutrition, which is to be expected. That's our meals program, public services, AARP, taxes, the mobile library. Those reflect like the fact that it's pretty close between the duplicated and the unduplicated number shows you that a lot of those are one-time transactional clients. That's okay. Like we serve people in a lot of different ways. Look at the average.
So if it just,
Yep.
and I think, you know, for the public's interest, when we were discussing the justification for the new building, one of the points that we, people on the committee, stressed was that the fundamental need for the building was derived primarily from the need for, you know, health and wellness, nutrition, and decreased isolation. The numbers there for fitness, exercise, nutrition, and social events, you know, map pretty closely exactly to that. That the fundamental purpose for senior centers that are active and engaged and have, you know, sufficient capacity and what's being seen here. So, you know, hopefully, and I strongly suspect that these numbers, when the new building is open, will also continue to map in that direction, which is
Absolutely.
and it lends credibility to the work that has been done up to this point in terms of how what we're doing. So
Absolutely. And I think based on the interviews with other senior center directors that have opened a new building in the last 5 to 10 years, they have seen participation double or triple. I just want to point out there's something wrong with the van trip number because we did not have 59 users. It was that might have just been a typo on my part because that should say, hang on, this number right here should say 206 clients, 5371. So I will go back and fix that. My apologies. All right, so if we look at the average age of senior center participants, I just want to make a note. It's fairly intuitive. People in their 60s and 70s are the most likely to use the senior center. You'll notice that this brown bar here that says age 85 and over is disproportionately large. And I just want to point out that the default birth date in my senior center, the software, if you don't have a birth date assigned, is January 1st, 1900, which makes this group seem incredibly large. We have been able to address that the size of this bar is smaller this year than it's been in previous years due to more collaboration with like Shine and AARP Tax Prep to make sure that we have our own intake process for those kind of one-time transactional users to make sure that we have a birth date for them. But there's certainly a lot more work that could be done to clean up that part of the data. But obviously if they're the default, then their birthday, then they are in the system as 126 years old. So
How come there's also an unknown?
That's a really good question. I don't think it's that many people. This is what's if it was blank, and I don't actually understand the circumstances under which it would be blank.
Okay.
But
I was
it's a
just looking-
very small number of people, so
Yeah.
it's possible, it's possible that the field is blank versus having the default date in it. I'm not sure why it would be that way, but it is a very small number of people. So this is over,
Yeah.
several hundred people.
Well, no, and I was thinking if there was no birth date, that it would be unknown versus the.
But I mean, 65 to 74 is,
Oh,
your
majority,
biggest categories. I would say this number is, more equivalent to this one if I had to really look at the data. I could do an analysis where I excluded everybody with the default birth date. We could pull them all out. Part of the point today is to show you what data was easily retrievable on my part and to see
absolutely.
what works, what the board would like to see more of, less of, that sort of a thing.
Now, do they go to the default because people simply don't want to disclose it, or they just overlook putting it in, or you got no idea?
Because data has come in through a variety of
I
sources.
mean, the birth date of the people who use the center.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, has come in through a variety of places. So if we do an intake and we don't get it, it would fall there. If it's coming in, if a person came to one of the public input sessions I had for the senior center, I didn't collect that data. I might have their name and phone number because they were at the session that was here,
Right.
but they didn't do a formal intake, so they were getting a default birth date.
And if you were to, put up a big sign, do a PR campaign on, do we have your right birthday? Would that be met with, a little resistance, or do you think people would be okay? That is, I think it would be, to your earlier statement, I think it would be good for us to know, or for you to know, how many people over the age of 85 are participating, and, are we anticipating a lot of plus 90 people in the next 10 years or whatever?
Yep.
And how can we increase the reliability of the ground column?
Right, and I can certainly, if I can play around, because I have to export this out into an Excel spreadsheet out of the software program anyway. I can just eliminate those birth dates from it, like I can exclude it from the analysis.
So you would eliminate anybody that has the 1/1900 type of deal.
I can eliminate the data.
Yeah.
So that's why anytime you're presenting data, you have to present it with the assumptions that go along with it so that people know what they're looking at. We do have a feature in my senior center called a reminder, and I can set a reminder for a certain set of people or for everybody. And then when they swipe their cards, when they come in, it goes boop, 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 boop. And it would.
I was chastised
I
on
know.
numerous occasions.
I know, and it tells you if I need something from you, it reminds you that you need it. Some users are better than others at saying, oh, I gotta go find a staff member. Some of them just like whatever, X out of it. So I'll work on that, and update that.
I would probably guarantee you a lot of those.
Wait, when I hear.
Just like I'm here.
Yeah. So, looking at the residency of our users, this is a trend that has been stable over the past 5 years. I've been asked to report on this data many times over the years. The majority of users live in Ayer. 70% of them, approximately 30% of them live in other towns, and that includes regular users and one-time users for the more transactional services. We have 55%, we are, the population as a whole has a gender split of 55% female and 45% male. And that gap continues to widen with age, just because women have a longer life expectancy. Senior center usage doesn't follow the general population. So we are 69% female and only 29% male. I think that is, when I was at the National Councils on Aging session, it's probably pretty over in May, there was a great session I went to about increasing male participation in senior centers. And there's a number of reasons. Men do different things socially. The patterns and their preferences for socialization tend to be less formal, and more casual. And as well as a lot of senior centers are not offering programming that men are interested in. So I think in the new senior center, that will certainly be a priority of ours, is to figure out how to better represent the gender distribution in town. So. All right, so when we look at how older adults are using the center, this was data I found to be fairly interesting. You know, about half of people are using it once a year. This is data I would love your feedback on. The once a year is predominantly AARP tax aid and Shine counseling. So when we look at, those 432 participants, 139 are the one-time users. So if we break that down further to look at just those 205 that are using the senior center regularly, the distribution is a little bit different, and I would love feedback on these categories. So people who use the senior center once a week or more, that's 52 times once a week, or more, are 16%. People who attended 25 to 51 times a year are multiple times a month, right? That's more than, that's right. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
How it's right. People who used it 1 to 2 times a month are people who once a month would be 12 times a year. Twice a month would be 24 times a year. So, it's pretty evenly distributed. And then occasional users are 2 to 11 times. There's some overlap and some blurriness, and this is a subjective way I have sliced the pie. If someone comes 11 times, you could make the case that they're a monthly user and they just missed one thing that they do, right? Because they were on vacation, because they didn't feel well, whatever. So the difference between 11 and 12 is very small, right? But I was just trying to figure out how to chunk up the number of times people use the senior center. I think it's important to note, just on a larger level, that the senior center offers a wide variety of programs and services. Some of them are transactional, like Shine and AARP tax prep. You come in, you get your assistance, and you go. Some things are based on your interests or your other schedules outside of the senior center. Some of them are based on your need. Some of them are based on your interest, right? So coming to a fitness program, you're going to want to come at least once or twice a week, right? In order to have that make sense, to get the benefit from it. So I see value in all of those different ways to use the senior center, because they're all really valuable services and they add up collectively to the way that we serve older adults in
I'd
town.
be curious if you want to scroll back up to your, I'd be curious if other senior centers have the similar kind of, what was 149 one time, 130. Is that consistent with other senior centers?
Yeah.
That is, they are one-off interactions for either tax purposes or Shine. And does that, is the similar percentage of people who attend or have attended for other senior centers? Just kind of curious about that. And I mean, I think with the new senior center, we're likely to see a substantial increase in the ones who are going more frequently. But it also highlights, and this is something I haven't really, that is the one-time concrete specific service that people struggle with and need help with, taxes and Medicare.
Mhm.
You know, are there other services like that that you could offer for just a one, or is that something that you would? Because when you think about it, dealing with health insurance issues and dealing with taxes
Right.
are like probably at the top of the list of
Right.
anybody's.
So for example,
Stressful.
the library has a Mass Health certified person who's gone through the official, like we help people with Mass Health applications. But they have a dedicated certified person that's gone through Mass Health's training in order to do that. So like having that person potentially also spend time at the senior center is certainly an option. I think there's a lot of ways to grow the programming in the new center. I've tried to be very forthcoming with, we are only scratching the surface here of the things that we could do. We're just very limited in terms of space in the building, parking, and then staffing as well. So, but yeah, I think there's a lot of those things. And I do agree, both Shine and the AARP taxes are kind of at capacity. So unless they added more volunteers, I don't expect to see those programs grow dramatically in a new center, but I do expect those regular users that are repeat users that are coming for the social, intellectual, and fitness programming. That's where I really expect to see that participation skyrocket. All right. So in terms of some outreach metrics, just thought I'd toss this in here. Again, this is an experimental report to see. We're currently printing 400 paper copies of the newsletter per month. We are assessing that on a monthly basis. We're getting more and more people interested via email. As most of you, I think, saw, the newsletter transition to full color this month, which I think is a really lovely change. That was driven both by, again, when I first started, we were printing 500 when I was trying to reopen the center after COVID, because again, when I arrived, it was closed. We have since come down to 400. This month, we only printed 300, although I've had to print a couple more to meet demand here in the building. We're going to continue to assess that. We want to make sure that it's out there. The paper copies are available for the folks that need or want a paper copy, but also wanted to acknowledge that there's more and more people who are reading the newsletter from their email off the website, with the link in social media, all of that.
I don't know if you saw the Facebook post, but my wife loved the new layout.
Oh, I did see it, and that was very kind of her.
Specifically,
I heard it in.
hey, look at this.
Mhm.
So
It's
that
really
is,
nice.
it's a really, really nice.
I'll pat my own back. It's a really nice newsletter.
It's sharp.
I know for a time you were, or I think for a time you were hard mailing some of them to a rotating list periodically.
We started that. We did not carry that on. It was a lot of effort for the outreach coordinator, and just to be frank, like I've needed her in other places as the building project ramped up. I've needed her covering in other places.
I mean, I
So-
think it's, depending on personnel availability, et cetera, it may be worth there's just, I suspect that there's something about some portion of the population getting a hard copy in the mail.
Sure.
Especially with the color brochure,
Right.
that would pique their interest,
Mhm.
and you might get a little more traction than. And I understand that there's an expense involved with hard mailing, I don't know, 300 or 400 a month. But if you hard mail them to different people, you 1/3 of the population, 4 times a year, I guess that would be. I think it may be something worth considering.
I'd be
just be-
more apt to sort of say, make them request it. That,
Okay.
hey, I don't have, there's a phone, I'll call in, hey, I saw this, is there any way I can get it mailed to me, which is a different thing than
Right, but I think and I know for me personally, the email inbox, you just get overwhelmed, it just
Right.
becomes, so it just.
Mm.
it just
I
gets
agree with
lost in-
Dennis. I agree with you, Dennis. I think the hard
Oh.
copy is great. Absolutely.
So just something to think about, because I know, just personally, when I go to the mailbox, I'll at least pick it up, hold it in my hand
Right.
and look at it.
Right.
I mean, it may then end up in the circular file, but at least, it registers in a way that my email inbox doesn't.
Yeah.
That's the way I get annoyed that things in my mailbox is junking.
And I think that's a great example of how diverse
Yeah,
older adults are, from
Yeah.
age sixty
Some of them are,
to
yeah.
100
Yeah.
plus, and
Some of them are
even
very
in
electronic.
similar age groups, that there's a lot of diversity, and having a diversified approach. I mean, we put the newsletter out in more than a dozen locations around town, and hoping now that it's in color, it will be even more eye-catching in the places that it is. I would be much more open to doing some more regular paper mailings. Once we're in the new center, I don't mean to put it off into the new center, but with a new copier that could actually collate and fold.
Yeah.
Rather than relying on our trustee volunteers to,
I would
Fold
be
that.
happy to deliver to somebody's mailbox. or
There you go.
do it
Okay.
For you,
all right,
save me the mail.
yes.
See, I would just like to see that nice online calendar so you could go in and look at it,
Right.
but where it just populates right there for you.
Right,
But
Yep.
personally, I have another flyer in my mailbox. If somebody requested, great.
so I think we'll have to,
Myself when I get.
When you get it, you read it.
But I don't wanna add in my mailbox, I don't want,
Oh, I love them.
I don't.
so I mean, I think that's okay, there's not a right or wrong way to
No,
do
it
it.
isn't. It's everybody's
But
different.
if somebody does request.
Furthermore, I think we
would-
should charge a subscription fee, just a token fee to offset the
No,
postage. Make some extra money for the center.
Just to cover the cost of mailing it. That's a great
Yeah.
idea.
I love that. I like the hard copy. As Dennis said, it's in your face, because I forget to open my mail. I have 1,000 emails and they get lost. So I like that. And it's if it's color, and that newsletter is so good. I don't know who puts it together, but it's wonderful. I have experience
me.
doing newsletters and it is so good. Yeah.
See, I hold it up on my phone and say, if I'm not home.
Right, right,
Yeah. No, the only thing I like is to be able to just print the calendar.
right.
Yeah.
But I can do that.
So you make that fact sheet, just do that landscape and you print it, then you have it.
If I'm not home, I can do it on my phone, just glance at it.
All right, so I did take a snapshot of Facebook. I'm not a huge social media fan. I do realize it has its place. Facebook is a lot of older adults, so that is the platform to go after. Currently have 278 followers, up 7 in the last 28 days. As you would expect, our followers are most likely to be older adults. 68% of them reside in Ayer, and both of our most viewed posts were last fall, with the fall foliage train event and the thank you for the approval of the senior center. The third way that we do outreach is with my senior center broadcasts, robocalls, texts, emails. We did 42 of them in the last fiscal year, with a 93% success rate amongst calls that went out.
Oh, so 7% of calls didn't go to the end.
Yes,
To the end
7%
user.
of them fail. Yep. And
Oh,
they
right.
fail because their phone number has changed, and so what we have on file is wrong. They fail because they block us. So they come
'Cause
back
they
as
don't-
blocked,
Yeah,
right? So.
because they don't know what it is.
Right. There is a portion of the newsletter that has, this is the phone number that robocalls come from. Please program that into your contact list as a approved contact so that that doesn't happen. And anytime someone complains that they didn't get the notice that Tai Chi was canceled, for example, we go back and review the phone numbers we have on file for them. We review, are you signing in for this event? Because if you are not bothering to sign in for this event, then you are not going to get a robocall based off class roster. And then we look at, whether it succeeded or failed. I unfortunately have a lot of husbands that get thrown under the bus because it says it's answered by a person at the home number, and the software will tell me, was it answered by a person? Was it answered by a voicemail? It is able to do that. And so I always find it comedic when someone physically answers the phone at the home and then it's just the message isn't relayed. So that happens. Are there other do you like seeing this? In terms of the outreach piece, is this helpful to you? Is this not helpful?
I think it's interesting, but it doesn't have to be.
I'm sorry, the outreach piece meaning.
So I was going through, the first couple ones were the participation statistics, right? About like who comes and how often. I am assuming that you want to continue to see that. I was thinking about other things I could show you for the annual. The annual data, the outreach metrics. Do you like that?
Yes.
I like them, yeah. I think it's kind of interesting, at least to make sure we're hitting, if all of a sudden we were missing a large.
That's right, and I think that if any organization, in order to be able to quantify what are the most effective methods of outreach, you're gonna need it, because there may be budgeting things that come up that is, if the social media contact, it may justify, increasing that outreach or increasing the bandwidth, or, hiring a part-time person to do more monitoring of the social media feeds or what have you, or, increase the distribution of paper copies. I think you have to know where your people are and how to get in touch with them. I mean, it is, I think, I think the number is 600. So there are about, round numbers, 2,100 people over the age of 60 in Ayer.
I think that number is like 2,600 now.
Really?
I don't know it off the top of my head, but.
So it's closer to a third of the population then. Used to be closer to a quarter. But anyway, so if you're now seeing or have seen 658 of them in a year, what happens with that number, I think would be interesting.
Right. What percentage of the total population are we serving? Yeah.
Right, because at the end of the day, I think it's gonna be important for the town writ large to understand what the return on their investment is for the funding on the senior center. And this kind of information, I think, will be critical, and I feel comfortable saying I'm pretty confident that we're gonna smash all those numbers pretty convincingly.
Oh, yeah.
I would agree.
And part of the idea was to start deciding what information we want to collect now, so that we can show that growth over time.
Yeah.
I mean, I can certainly always go back and find historical data later, but having it kind of honed in advance is always helpful. Okay.
Katie, not to interrupt you, but I do want to be cognizant of Cheryl. We've always had that 3:45. Are you pushing up against a limit?
Nope, I'm good. I canceled my late afternoon appointments for this meeting, so continue.
Thank you very much, Cheryl.
Let's see. Okay, so now the multi-year trend analysis. So as you can see, I started, I started in September of 2021, and we started collecting the data in December. We got my senior center. So the department has seen significant growth over time. There are limits to, the FY25 and the FY26 data is pretty similar. I think we're bumping up against what the facility itself can manage and serve, as well as the staff limitations, right? Like this past year, I've been very busy building the building, and shepherding that process more so than, like, there are programs I could lead, but I just don't have the capacity for that, this year. So I think we're kind of in a holding pattern as far as not growing any further until the new building is open, and I think that's reflected in those numbers. The average daily attendance grew significantly between FY 22 and 24, and again, capacity constraints through the facility and the staff, have kind of held that constant between FY 25 and FY 26.
So the thought, a little, the color, so the FY 22 is is the short line
Mhm.
underneath 15 or below there.
Yep.
That's FY 20.
Yeah, so they're actually in date order, so you can see the trend going up.
You're right.
Okay, so then, yeah, so now we move on to the average daily attendance by month. And so what I was looking at here is, I would have told you that, there are seasonal trends in participation. I think what this, let me minimize this. Okay, I think what this chart shows, however, is not that. So if you look at the lines, again, blue to orange to gray to yellow to blue, what you see is increased participation over time, right? So again, following that very bottom blue line that starts halfway through the year when I started. And then you go over, hang on, time is gonna go like this. So if you follow my cursor, when I started here, time is gonna go this way. And then it's gonna pick up with the first of here, and then it's gonna follow this orange line. And then it's gonna follow the gray, and then the yellow, and then the blue. So what you see is tremendous growth in the first part, reopening the building and getting to where our current programming is. Not a lot of change in the last, 2 fiscal years, right? So, I mean, this orange line is dramatic, right? But these are pretty standard. I would have told you that we are busiest in September and October, as well as April and May, but anecdotally, but the data doesn't really show this. So I thought that was interesting. It shows fairly consistent participation across the months. Again, with the exception being FY 23, when I think we were just really growing programs as a whole, that participation just kept going up over month. But when you look at the last 3 fiscal years, it's actually more even than I expected it to be. However, when you look at new users by month, so this one is how many users, just the daily attendance, users in general. But when we look at when are people joining the senior center, right? The senior center enrolls the most new members in February, March, and April, and then again in October. And I really think that has to do with a desire to get out and do things socially at the end of the winter. This is my speculation about it. February, March, and April. It also accounts for new clients into the AARP tax prep program in February, March, and April. And then in October, we often get folks who join us for the fall foliage things who have never been to the center before. It's always those activities are always a great way to recruit new members.
And the motif in the new newsletter.
I know, right?
It's exactly.
It's right on in there. So, if I look at this from if I put the COA board's hats on, right, for a moment, you could look at this data and say, we need to figure out what we could start offering, like maybe you wanna advise me to offer some blockbuster programming in May and June. Those are our lowest times of getting new members, right? So maybe there needs to be a strategic push to having really popular things to the community as a whole in those months to help even that out somehow, right? Like that is a great example of how you could use this trend analysis to make strategic suggestions for me. All right, looking at social service interactions. This is kind of what I expected. The need for social services continues to grow. Like there are so many individuals who need assistance and guidance. We offer a wide variety of social services. I tried to list them here. There we go. Okay. So there's a wide variety of types of assistance that we offer. And if you look at, let's look at this chart. Now we're going top down in terms of progressing time. So when I first started in FY22, it was just me, Katie Petrossi. I was doing what I could, and it was a partial year, so not as many social service interactions. When we look at the following year, FY23, that was the time, for those of you who have been around for a little while, know that I was a one-woman show for almost a year. So I was the dining coordinator, the social services coordinator, the program coordinator, and the director in that period of time. I did more stuff than I did in my partial year, but still limited. I can only do so much. The following year, Mary Ellen came on, I continued to assist, and the town had a social worker for 9 months of the year. When the right personnel was in place, when there was someone to do the social services, we served a whole lot more people, which I think reflects the need that exists there. The following year, we served more people in FY25, the yellow year, and that again is with me, Mary Ellen, and then Brittany, the town social worker, was only there for 3 months of that year, and yet there was still an increase in social services despite a decrease in manpower. And then this past year, FY26, just Mary Ellen and I, and again, continuing to serve more older adults with their social service needs. So I feel really great about that. There's a lot of, I mean, I don't feel great that there's, but I feel great that we are a resource for the community for their needs. And again, as you can see in this list, it's everything from benefits application assistance, employment assistance, financial advocacy and budgeting services, food insecurity, home health care and home improvement service coordination, navigating difficult family dynamics, which impact all of these other things, advanced directives, housing insecurity, eviction advocacy, tech help, RMV assistance, because that is particularly difficult. That transition over to real IDs was really hard for a lot of people, and advocacy, sometimes even as far as our state representatives, to help individuals that are obviously older get documentation that really predates some of the online availability things. We did a fair amount of work with that. Education in general about senior center programs and services, and friendly visits and wellness checks, both on a non-emergency and emergency basis. So those all go into those steps.
So the advanced directives is the end of life conversations and how to plan for that, or have those conversations. And you don't have to do it now. What I would be interested in is you and your staff talking about kind of ranking these in terms of which is the most important or necessary things to do, like that have the greatest, significant impact on the person's life, as opposed to, you were able to kind of give them a hand. If push had come to shove, they would have been able to find the help elsewhere, but
Mm,
you know, you were here to provide that.
The
Um,
problem
so,
is,
so getting us, I would like a sense of what you, the staff, feel like these are the more critical things that we've been able to do through this.
right.
And these are kind of like nice to haves.
That's a really interesting question, and I'd be happy to dig into it further, but I would tell you that to the client, the thing that
They're
they
all
came
equally
in
important.
for is the
Right.
most
It's the most
important thing,
important,
you know? So I think that's really
if
subjective.
yeah, if you haven't dealt with your elderly parent that way.
No, I understand. I understand.
Mm-hmm.
So when we, right, so as an example, when I help someone with food insecurity, right, that's very impactful. Right, that's obviously a basic need, right? So I would rank that as very important. But also when a adult child is really struggling with how to assist their parent or struggling with the boundary of how do I watch my parent make decisions that I don't agree with, that's incredibly stressful to that adult child, and being able to offer them advice and counsel and directions on how to keep their relationship intact while they're navigating this aging process is to that client as important as the food insecurity is to the other client, because they're both needs. Does that
No.
make sense?
No, I understand. But in terms of allocating public resources to get the most bang for the buck, but you know, I think it would be, that is, if I have if you go to your doctor and your doctor says, and I am worried about, you know, I sprained my ankle and da 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 da. And I'm anxious about it. And he sees me, and that's the most important reason while I'm there. And that's great.
Right,
If another person came in and said, da 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 da, and suddenly this person has pancreatic cancer and has 6 months to live, the doctor's impact, you know, they're both important in different ways
right,
to the different people.
right,
But in terms of what the importance of what the doctor was able to do
right,
in terms of the pancreatic cancer, in my view, outweighs the importance of what the
Right.
doctor was able to do for the sprained ankle. And not to minimize anybody's needs, but I think in terms of allocating public resources to try to get the most, you know,
Right.
wholesome benefit from it,
Right.
it would be good to know, you know, food insecurity is more important than being able to, I don't know, provide somebody tech help so that they could get their phone up and running.
Sure,
Or the other way
absolutely,
around.
absolutely. So, but with caveats to that, right? Like if there was a limited resource for that right now, we're not turning people away who need help with something. We're able to work them in across
Yeah.
Mary Ellen and I. So I don't see the resource at the moment as limited, you know, and as a need to prioritize them. I see what you're saying from just a conceptual point. But like if someone needs tech help because they cannot get housing without an email address, like you cannot apply for housing without an email address, and you have to check it, and you have to have regular access to both the email and your physical mailbox and provide responses within 10 days, then their tech help, getting them comfortable with getting them an email address, getting them comfortable with how to use their phone or their tablet enough in order to secure housing, to me is just as important as, it's not tech help like show me how to trade stocks. You know, we don't do a lot of that. The tech help is
Setting up the accounts.
setting up the accounts.
Oh,
You can't see your social security benefits, like in order to get your social security benefits in a real time and timely way because you have something you need to submit it to,
Mhm.
you must go online. Like it takes forever to submit, to have it mailed to you.
Right.
And they just don't want it, like, it's at least an hour on the phone. So I see what you're saying. I guess I would want to understand what the end goal of that would be, because I think it's
So the end,
very subjective. But I think,
right, the end goal, to speak frankly,
Yeah.
is the town administration deciding to cut the social worker's position from the town. Has had an impact or would have had an impact on this. How do we justify that is, if you go to town meeting and say to them, we need a social worker because some people don't know how to use their phone, it's going to resonate differently than we need a social worker because we have had significant conversations around advanced directives. And these are conversations that are difficult and require expertise.
right.
And having somebody available to do that is irreplaceable. And I guess each of us would look at that list and prioritize them differently.
Sure.
But if you are to speak to the general public and say, we need to hire somebody to perform these functions, it would be good for us to have a clear understanding of,
Yeah.
What those functions are and why they're important. And,
That being
So
said,
that would
though,
be-
too, Dennis, is it's still up to that person or that person who's in front of you looking for that help. You're not gonna turn them away, or are you? You're
No.
gonna say, oh, you just need tech help, well, we're not helping you. That's still not,
right, but it's just, for the purposes of the town, I think it's a tough sell to say, well, they're gonna do a little of everything. And here's the list of all the things that they're going to do.
see, I disagree with that, because when you still listed out all of those different things that are there. And anybody who has gone through any of that stuff understands it, the tech help, setting up those social
Critical.
security. It's critical, and for some people, that is absolutely horrendous for them,
And I
to
think
be able to get that picture, so it does facial ID.
at a larger level,
Yeah.
Coin is handling people who are in mental health crisis. And the senior center is helping older adults with this whole laundry list of things.
Right.
There's an entire piece of the population that isn't getting served by either one of those agencies. And that is the role of a town social worker. As well as, right, so what I'm saying is, I'm not sure, I would love to show you this broken out by the types of assistance. I think that would be helpful too. But I think it's an adjacent argument to the COA board, unless it's relative to what a social worker could do to augment what we're doing here, right? And I think
Yes,
as we have more and more people using the senior center in a new building, we will eventually wear Mary Ellen and I out. Like we may need more capacity.
right,
For sure.
and what I'm trying to understand, or what I'm trying to bring into the light is that the underlying rationale for cutting the social work position or not hiring someone into that position versus the town administration has acknowledged that they understand, they have publicly acknowledged this in a public meeting, that they understand that the coin person, that coin program is not a substitute for a town social worker. That is well understood. So that is, how do we get all of this to resonate with the general public
Right.
such that they would be willing to acknowledge that, yes, this is a position that we need to have and we are willing to pay for it.
Right. Well, I think
And
the town
saying-
already said that when they approved many years ago the position and the funding for it. The
And
town
then-
already advocated for it.
That's right. And then they disavowed it when they allowed the town administrator to take it out of the budget. without comment and without pushback.
Okay, well,
And so to get it back in the budget,
yes, and also I want to stay within the scope of our meeting
Oh, yeah,
today,
yeah.
because you have to keep it within the realm of how it impacts the senior center.
Right.
And I think what would be really interesting to see, and I think it would get at where you're going, is if we were to look at this data, not only from the total number of social service interactions, but by the type, because I can sort out the data that way. And we can look at how many of these interactions are 1 or 2 time interactions, and how many of them, like how many clients are we seeing by the frequency with which we're seeing them. And I would just, again, anecdotally say that the benefit of a social worker in some circumstances is that some engagements are many sessions long, and someone's readiness to change plays a huge role in our ability to execute what they need, right? So where a social worker is very helpful is interacting with someone 6, 8, 10 times, getting them ready to make the changes that they need to make or to execute on what it takes to complete a benefit application. Some people are ready, willing, and able. They just need someone to hold their hand. And then some people are just really not ready or not in a executive functioning, cognitive functioning space to be able to provide even, like, let's say, the documents needed for it. And so working with a social worker on a more extended basis to really get to where they need to go could be helpful too. But so I will redo this based on the type of assistance, and then see if we can come up with some sort of a guideline for like applying for the Affordable Connectivity Program, the ACP listed in the first bullet there. That's a 2 appointments, right? And ACP doesn't exist anymore, but that was a 2 thing. Applying for disability, for example, is a multi-month process with many visits in order to get the documentation together, to get the application completed and submitted, to get the feedback back, to go back for the documentation that they don't like, then to get an award, then to get it retro done, then to get the banking set up. That's a multi-step process. So I think it would be interesting to see how much time is the senior center spending on 1 or 2 time transactional things, and how many are we spending on multi-month engagements that might be better suited for the social worker.
what I think may also be helpful for me is, just because of my career, et cetera, there's a distinction, and I think in education and qualifications between what would be considered a clinical social worker versus an, for lack of a better word, administrative social worker. That
A
is,
case manager, yeah.
there are some of those tasks that you listed that would, are kind of administratively, or, you're working through that process to get somebody teed up. As opposed to a clinical social worker who may be working with the advanced directives advocacy or navigating difficult family dynamics, those kinds of things which require somewhat different skills. And their qualifications or professional interests may go more in that direction than, telling somebody why they need a new driver's license so they can drive to Canada without, being.
Correct. Some things are more, I'm using the word transactional. Some things are more administrative and transactional, and some things do involve someone's readiness it involves their organization, it involves their executive functioning, it involves much more gray things that involve a little more clinical expertise.
Right.
Yeah,
So when if we were to be in a position to be looking for someone to fill that role, we would want to have a clear understanding amongst ourselves about which of those roles or would you anticipate that they're going to be able to do it all?
I mean, I have made this case in this manner and 7 other manners many, many times over. I think it's great to have data to show for it, but I mean, I think you don't, I think I'm just giving my opinion, and then I do think we should move on from
Okay,
it,
yeah.
right? Because this is a little outside of the scope of the COA board, right? Like,
Absolutely.
you know, there's plenty of people in town that can provide information and referral and can provide administrative tasks. What the town really needs is assistant case management services for the folks that don't need direct, like, here's what to do. They don't need, you can do it. They need more substantive assistance because they have difficulty with executive functioning, cognitive decline. They have just been through trauma. There's a lot of reasons why people can't carry out something that you or I might say is just a simple transactional thing, and they need more assistance. Doesn't mean they don't want the assistance, doesn't mean they're not willing to work for it. It means that just due to their state of functioning in the current day, they need more assistance with it.
They need mass rehab.
So, all right, so, is that the end of it?
I
No, I
believe
guess that was the end of it.
that's very good, Katie. I like that. There's a lot of
So is-
information in there.
Right. Is there anything that you would have liked to see? Is there anything we can add or build to this? Anything that you were like, well, I thought you were gonna show me this or that?
My perspective is I think you showed me more than I thought. You know, just I think really just have to digest it and figure out what is important to us, what information do we need to know to go forward. I mean, knowing that piece about knowing is that we are probably already at the capacity in the center. I think we probably knew it, but
Yeah.
now we see it and we're seeing it in the numbers.
Mhm.
That's sort of that important key to me. But, seeing all of the different social services interactions, I think intellectually I knew that.
Right.
The reality is seeing it here on this thing. But I don't know, and throw it out to you and Cheryl, you as well, as if there is anything that wasn't here that you would like to have seen or see in the future. Marge, is there anything
No.
that you missed?
Some of the younger clients, do you ever refer to mass rehab if they're looking for jobs or?
It's all on a case by case basis, what people are looking for, what their needs are, what their capabilities are. Yeah, we have a whole set of things that we're referring people out to. Because we do serve older adults, 60 and older, and we serve those with disabilities of any
Yeah.
age. We are primarily serving those under 60 through our programs.
Yeah.
But we do provide some services. But again, that's a great example to Dennis's point of, I'm not trying to replicate the Disabilities Commission here,
Right.
right? So we make appropriate referrals out where we
To
can.
those, yeah.
We do try to focus on what is our bread and butter, but our bread and butter is
Right.
still a very
And
wide.
some of
Yeah.
them that can do their own disability, they need it.
So
Can you just call and make an appointment with Social Security?
So we help people to the level that they need help. I often find that if, there's a reason someone's coming to seek assistance from us. And so we try to decipher, where are you? Where are your capabilities? What is the best way that we can help you get what you need right now and set you up to be as independent as possible going forward? Some people do have limitations, and they are limitations that I don't get to have an opinion about the location. I need to work within them in order to advocate for them as my client.
Cheryl, is there anything in the report that you would like to have seen that wasn't there or that?
I think it was a great report. You know, I'm curious about maybe it's in transportation, I just didn't see it. How many rides are for medical, dental appointments, and how many are rides for social? Like just, you know, like we said, going to a movie or a concert or something like that. Just kind of breaking it down, just because it's fun to know. But
Yeah.
it's not critical. It's just nosiness on my part. How does transportation get used? But I think it's a great report. Good job.
I can certainly do that for you, Cheryl. That's part of the reporting I have to do back to March is
Okay.
how many rides are for each of those categories.
I just
And-
think it's fun to know.
Yeah, shopping is the most common one. When I first started, medical was the most popular type, but we were not doing as many shopping trips. Now that we are doing more shopping trips to meet more demand and to go to more places in the day and in the evening, shopping has surpassed medical actually by a lot. And medical did drop after the closure of the hospital.
Yeah, because it wasn't up the street anymore. It was,
Right.
Right.
you know,
Exactly.
So
But I can break that out for the next one. For
if
sure.
Great,
if you were to
thanks.
do some of your regular users, have you asked them the question, or if you were to put out a survey and say, are you not going to the doctor because you can't get there? Would they tell you, or would you know, or would it be?
I mean, I certainly could. Surveying the transportation users over the last couple of years would be an interesting, strategic option to do.
Yeah, I'm just wondering the fact that the hospital closes, fewer people, and why that was that we didn't see a huge spike in requests to go, which is what frankly, I think all of us had anticipated, or at least I did. Yeah, so, it's just an interesting thing, so. I'm kind of curious about.
well, my thought on that is don't think a lot of people thought that you would go to some of those other places. That like
Right.
if I have an appointment at 9:30 in Leominster, you're not gonna wait for me. So I'd end up having to wait for how long before I come back, and I'm using Leominster as a fairly close.
Right.
So I think that may be some of it, and some people are sort of saying to potentially either, oh, no, I'm not going there, or they're saying to a family member, hey,
Right.
you need to take.
That's like waiting in Concord.
Exactly, it's the same, that same philosophy is that, yeah, we'll get you down there, but.
And I also think it speaks to executive and cognitive function of some of our most frail clients who tend to be our van riders. So the added layer of I need a doctor's appointment at an unfamiliar location.
Yep.
And I get an appointment from the doctor while I'm there. They hand it to me.
Yeah.
But remembering that I need to advocate for myself because the COA van doesn't go to Leominster on Wednesdays. It only goes on Mondays. Remembering that in the moment.
Yeah.
For that most vulnerable group is
Yes,
difficult.
it is.
We did outreach to each of the medical offices that we have visited in the last 5 years when we changed our schedule to let people know. So that the doctor's offices would know the limits, but there's a lot of staff in each of them. I don't expect them to memorize our schedule, but we did do outreach to each of their offices to let them know when the schedule was. And we do remind people on a regular basis where we go, and if we let them know that if you let your doctor's office know that you are reliant on senior center transportation and you can only come on Mondays. Most doctor's offices do their best to schedule you a Monday appointment or to work you in on one of those days. But again, that's a multi-step process that might seem like not a big deal at all to
us,
those of us
but-
around the table. But for our most frail clients, that is
Is,
often either overwhelming, not achievable, or they just go, yeah.
Either that or the thought of sitting on a bus for 30 minutes, you get to,
Right.
you know, and then
Or
where do I go?
That's right.
That type of stuff. I think, I do think a lot of it is that. So, but no, I thought it was a great report, Katie.
Well, if anybody has any thoughts about it afterwards, come see me, talk to me.
Okay.
This will be an evolving process. I just wanted to get us started. I'll do it again, you know, at the end of the calendar year. So we can look at it by fiscal year and calendar year, kind of every 6 months.
Yep.
Eventually, I'd like to settle it to once a year instead of twice a year. But it doesn't matter that much to me because annual reporting for the town meeting, the annual report book that you get at town meeting is the calendar year. And then annual reporting for like the select board or for town function is on fiscal year anyway. So I do end up usually
doing it
needing
some-
one set of that data, some portion of it on both of those.
Alright.
So, all right,
Okay.
that's all. Sorry, that was enough of my time. Much of my talking, you know.
And I do thank everybody for being really patient, because we do have 2 items that left to be on it, and the first one is the discussion of candidates filling the empty board seat. It's my understanding from you is that the select board is looking to make a decision and would like a recommendation
Yes.
from us.
That would be their next
Okay.
step. Yep, they would like a letter, and then I believe, let me pull up my calendar page here. So I think they are meeting on the 18th. Let me just double check on the town calendar here real quickly. And if that is true, then they would need our letter
By Thursday?
by Thursday this week. So, yep, they are meeting just one, I think just one time. Did they meet on the 4th? No, they didn't. So they are meeting just one time in August.
So are they
typically do that
definitely
August.
meeting on August? on
They're
the 18th?
definitely meeting on the 18th. So,
Okay.
you would need to have by Thursday at noon, there would
Okay.
need to be a letter submitted with our recommendation.
Okay. All right.
It doesn't necessarily have to be ratified at that meeting, right? Like, but why would we not?
Oh, well, I think,
Yeah.
yeah, we just have
You might
to,
as well.
When we ratified it, that meeting.
Well, I mean, you could put it off, right? Like you could put it off another month, right? But we've had the vacant seat for a while. We want
Oh,
to fill
yeah,
it,
yeah,
right?
I thought you were, there was a, yeah, no.
no,
There's no expiration to the letters of interest, right?
Right.
So,
Yeah.
but I mean, I would advise you guys to make a decision, put
So,
forth
oh,
a
I
recommendation.
think
If
so,
it's a
yeah.
simple letter by Thursday to
If we
get it
can.
moving.
Yeah, I mean, and plus we want to, I mean, given that we've had that level of interest, we want to also impress upon the board, the select board that is, that we moved expeditiously on it.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean,
I think so, right there, because we've been sort of looking for that.
Yeah.
Some sort of resolution on that MTC for a while. All right. So I will open it up to you. Thoughts? Cheryl, Barge, Dennis, thoughts? I'm presuming that our third candidate, Lauren, is either A, decided she wasn't interested, or I mean,
No, I mean, to that point, I'm assuming that she remains interested. She just either forgot or her level of interest did not include or
Right.
whatever. So I'm not discounting the fact that still
Right.
yeah,
is still interested in the position.
all right,
To the best of my knowledge, she did not rescind her interest.
Right.
okay,
I have seen the select board go both ways on this. If you didn't come, you got tossed out. I've also seen them not do that. So,
No,
well, that means they wouldn't,
no, it's not disqualifying. I have seen
all right,
many people get appointed to many boards
right, that's what
sight
I'm saying.
unseen, so.
Yeah.
How many open positions do we have on the board?
we only have one.
We have one.
Okay.
We have one vacant.
Okay.
Current.
You're not allowed to leave.
No, but to my earlier point about creating,
Oh,
Well, but
yes.
that is,
So,
that isn't gonna happen in the next 6 weeks, Dennis.
no, it's not, but
Right.
it could happen in the next 3 months.
Right, so I think you have to focus the decision right now on one
Right, exactly,
open
on
board
one
seat,
open seat.
three
One open
candidates. You know,
Yeah.
I always feel uncomfortable with this part, but I am happy to start off by saying, I think it's wonderful that we have three people interested in this position. Getting volunteers into is always a struggle, and all three of the candidates bring an expertise and a perspective that I think would be wonderful for the board. I think those are, I think they're all well qualified for different reasons. I think it's really incumbent upon you guys, and then I won't weigh in on this afterwards, but incumbent upon you guys to think about what skill sets do we currently have and where are we trying to go? And what are the things that we're lacking? Is it regular user representation? Is it aging services knowledge? Is it professional knowledge in my role? And that's gonna be something for you guys to decide.
Yeah. No, I too,
Oops, sorry.
go ahead, Cheryl.
I was gonna say, I also think we need more men on this board. And I was pleased to see that one of the letters of interest, one of the candidates is a man and somebody who is a little bit older than us and, you know, has good knowledge of the center. That scored a lot of points with me. I think that more diversity for the board.
That's an extremely good point, that older perspective. Sometimes I think, do we minimize it or sort of ignore it because we haven't thought about it yet?
Right.
Or they are experiencing
that
older adult.
Mhm.
And that,
No, I
that
understand,
older
but-
senior,
But
that
I mean, right, but he brings so much energy. I wasn't feeling overwhelmed there.
No.
I was
Yep.
feeling like, wow.
Wow,
Yeah.
exactly. Thank you. I was feeling the same
But
way.
is that a bad thing?
What's that?
Is that?
No, that's a
No,
tremendous.
but was that, you know, that, you're right, Jeff brings a ton of energy to it and whatnot, but then he said, he's 90. And I'm like, all right, how do you sort of, and the two of them he didn't think about him being 90.
No,
No. And then Moses on lawn, that scored big points.
You know, Mia has that
Mhm.
ton of experience with the networking and bringing in
Right.
all of services aspect of it.
Mhm.
Which is a great thing. And Lauren has the experience of being a prior COA director, you know. And you know, to Katie's point is where do we go with that? And you know, I do agree that
thing with Jack, and I say this too, I think he would get more men involved,
Mhm.
I
being a veteran and.
yeah, I do think of that too, because you know, when we had Bob to balance out the
Right.
board too, is having that diversification to a certain degree, as much as people may hate that word, on the board is a great thing.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you know, we give Dennis some backup sometimes.
Mhm.
No,
So,
no, and Katie said a lot of services are directed by women for women. And we need to change that, you know, as men age and get healthier. You know, some of it is because women's life expectancy is longer, but some of it is because men don't form connections as easily as women. Sociological fact. You know, 40 years as a therapist, I know that. Men do not connect as easily as women. It doesn't come as, for whatever reason, whether it's social, unless there's sports involved, then all bets are off. Dennis, you could say what you will on this, but that's my observation.
no, I would agree with that. And that clearly the numbers show that men use the services less frequently and are here less often. And, you know, it's certainly good to have a male perspective on things, or at least I like to think it's sometimes good to have a male perspective
It is. It is, my
Ah.
friend. Yep.
That being said, I'm trying to weigh, that is, when I think about what's most important to the long-term benefit of the folks coming to the senior center, or seniors in Ayer more broadly, even if they're not coming. I think that the healthcare is the single most important thing. Their access to it, their ability to take advantage of it, their ability to maneuver their way through a very complicated system, especially given what's going on in terms of changing Medicaid, Medicare requirements. And that healthcare, that understanding of the healthcare system writ large is an extremely valuable thing to have. And that kind of experience, I think, could be very important to many people who live in town who don't have access to that kind of knowledge. So, I mean, that's kind of where, that is, it's not an easily findable skill. And it's great that we have someone applying who has those
Clearly.
skills.
Yeah.
Now that being said, to my earlier point, you know, I would be thrilled to have all three candidates on the board.
Agreed.
Because how diverse, because of the different skill sets that they would bring to the position. So that's kind of where I'm at with it.
And I think you guys need to pick someone
Yeah, we do.
for this existing seat. And then I think we could make it known that the board,
Is looking at
least
other
one member of
options.
the board and the rest of the
Yeah.
board will be discussing at the next meeting.
Mhm.
Whether what's in the best interest of the older adults in town is to expand the board, and then would, in hopes that whoever isn't picked would stay with us through
That
October,
process.
end of October, when we would be able to potentially
Yeah.
bring more people on. Yeah.
Well, as I understand the process, and I reached out to the town administrator after. If we were to petition the select board to increase, and then if the select board were to do it. Vote to have a warrant article placed on having an article placed on the warrant. Then assuming that would pass, and I would see no reason why it wouldn't, that would be late October. It would then have to go to the Attorney General's office via the town clerk in order to be approved. And I have no idea, 60 days, 90 days for the Attorney General to approve. And again, I wouldn't anticipate that this particular type of warrant article would raise any red flags at the Attorney General's office, but who knows? So we could have it increased, let's say, by Thanksgiving or Christmas, let's say.
Probably Christmas.
Christmas.
Yeah, I would say that, but
But if you knew you were pursuing that.
Yep.
You could invite the other two members
That's
to attend as auxiliary members. And they would not be able to vote until they were officially. Right, so it doesn't mean that they would necessarily not be able to do it, but that would be up to them to decide if they were
Yeah.
interested in that, so.
Right, and I'm assuming that they would be, just given. You don't send a letter of interest expressing interest in this and then a month and a half, 2 months later, change your mind about it.
Correct. Yeah, I'm
So I-
I'm just putting out there, like,
Yeah.
I think you could do a lot to bridge that gap.
Yeah.
And to begin to include the people, even if they're not, even
Yeah.
if they're not voting at the table.
Yeah.
So, which we should probably do, because it's 4:35.
yes,
Yeah.
right. So I will put it,
No, I
What
was
do you
just
think?
gonna say, as board members though, where's the line you can go up to with your experts? With your,
expertise.
yeah,
So I think that that's an important point, is that the COA board is intended to be advisory, right? So you guys don't run the senior center, I run the senior center.
Yeah.
With an
but
iron fist?
What, yeah.
With an iron fist?
No,
Yeah.
but like, but I report to the town manager, I'm not an elected, you guys are not an elected board. So I
Right.
report to the town manager, I don't report to you, you guys are advisory. So there is an understanding that that's the capacity that you're there.
Right.
If someone wanted to, like Mary does not provide shine or tax assistance at the senior center because she's a board member. Those things were negotiated with her as an independent person.
No, she
prior.
doesn't just come in every day and do it. Right.
Correct. So her role operationally is entirely separate
Right.
from her advisory role on the board.
Exactly.
Does that answer your question?
Yeah. But, I mean, and it's like Cheryl doesn't come in and counts it,
Correct.
so.
Right.
Where's the line drawn? Or what
Well, so
Mia could do?
So my understanding, Mia, is you're working organization to organization, like business to business, correct? Yeah.
So my contracting team finds different home and community-based services organizations to contract for senior care options. So
Okay.
many plans have senior care options. I'm hearing a lot of opportunities to, for these members to work more closely with their case managers. And then use the senior center to subsidize some of those services that we can't get. And so listening to all of that, I'm just knowing the network and how to build it is great. But crossing the line for me when it means contracting a provider that's in talks with this organization, that's why I have to sign a conflict of interest.
So that's where you would potentially recuse yourself if it was discussed at this level here on the board.
That's right.
So
But again, who I would contract with for services as the COA board is my decision. I don't need to go to you guys
Correct.
to decide that.
Correct.
So that's highly unlikely to be
Yeah.
a conflict of interest, and yet when there is a conflict of interest, like Jimmy Pinard is on the building committee. And if Pinard Landscaping wanted to bid on a project, he has to file a form for conflict of interest, and then he recuses himself from the vote. Right? So there's a standard process in place. I don't think it's an unknown. I think it's a standard process.
Yeah.
So Madam Chair, could I make a motion?
Please.
I move that the COA board vote to recommend to the select board that Mia Maria Travaglini be appointed to fill the current vacancy on the COA board.
Is there a second?
I would second that, Janice.
So right, so now we'll take a vote. Cheryl,
Aye.
Marge,
No,
Dennis?
Aye.
I gotta go torn. This is where having more members on the board is it? I'm gonna go with an aye.
So Madam Chair, if I can make another motion?
Yeah.
Well, actually, is this a motion or a discussion? So could we, sometime, well, I'd like for us to now think about either scheduling a meeting to discuss the expanding the size of a board.
Yep.
okay.
Sometime over the next 2 weeks, shall we say?
Do you want to do it outside the next scheduled meeting, or do you want to try and arrange one?
Before, I'd like
I
to try
think
to
we
do
need
it
to do it
before.
before they meet.
All right, so let me. All right, so send me some availability of dates. And we'll pull together that.
I cannot just next week.
So we'll see what we can do about scheduling out some of, I'll tell you what, I'll send you out a bill. Everybody from at least, Doodle, then we'll put some dates and times together for that one. So there is one last thing
Mhm.
before I let you go, and this one is important.
Which is,
We need to vote in officers. So, and I think we decided last year that we only need a president or a chair. And we need a clerk. So,
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion.
be my guest, Dennis.
Madam Chair, I would like to nominate Mary Markham to continue as board chair for another term.
Is there a second?
I would second that motion.
No, we'll go through a vote. Cheryl,
Aye.
Marge,
Why?
by what?
Do you want it?
I don't mind. Keeps me busy, keeps me out of trouble.
You're good at it.
You're good at
Why
That's
are
a-
we doing 2 years in a row?
Well,
Why not? It's consistent.
Other.
Well, there was
I think
something
the
I should have
question
asked, you guys
should be-
should have asked, is there anybody else who wants it? Are
Accept, and are there any other nominations?
there any other nominations?
Why not?
That, do you want it, Marge? Do you want to
I
make
don't
it?
mind doing something.
You know, because the other thing is clerk. It's, chair and clerk.
What's that?
I said chair and clerk. So the next position we would look at is clerk. I don't mind being the chair for another year. It'd be kind of nice for me, to be honest with you, to be able to see the
Center
the center that through.
I think this is a good reason why I would like to see you as chairman.
Not to go through, but to go through, like, just to get everything all set in place.
I
I mean,
agree.
it's nothing is, seeing that type of stuff, putting all of that stuff into play,
Mhm.
getting it ready, so it is ready for the next person, and it's getting ready for the next go around
So
potentially.
you
if
and
that-
Dennis setting each other up, so Dennis can have it the next year.
There's
What's
different
that?
boards every year, Marge.
I,
The different people come on and off the board.
Right,
Who is gonna be here next year on the board
right.
versus especially if we are fruitful and are successful in getting additional people on. Somebody else may be chair, or somebody else may want it. If you want to throw your name in the ring, we'll throw your name in the ring too. And it is a vote.
So in terms of clerk, do we
Well,
want to
first of all,
discuss
we have-
that?
We have to finish.
Oh.
well, I just
Madam
don't
Chair.
see where you're going with you two taking all the offices.
Okay, and so to your point,
Mhm.
I would like to surrender the clerk's position.
Okay,
I wanted to surrender the clerk's position last year. I continued in the position because there were no other alternatives. If you or Cheryl well, Mary can't do it, would like to perform the function of the clerk, I am more than happy to nominate that person to do that. So would you like to be the clerk? And I will make the nomination.
what if I want to be chair?
Can make the nomination.
I would assume that you would want to find someone to make that nomination. And again, we specifically put in, I believe, last year,
It said it could be.
Well, we haven't changed our bylaws about anything.
No, from last year, and
right, but where is the,
I think we had said in the master calendar, the draft master calendar, that
It says-
says task number one of the new.
yeah,
No,
it is.
no, no,
But
that's
this
not-
one here, it says officers may be reelected for successive terms.
when we were revising these policies, which went into effect in April of last year, 2025,
Mhm.
we specifically included in Article 4, the fact that officers may be reelected for successive terms.
Right.
And if my memory serves, and correct me if I'm wrong, but if my memory serves, you advocated for that. That is, you thought it would be a good idea that we not exclude a current chair from potentially serving for an additional
No,
year.
I don't know if I did, but that's okay.
So that was,
Because I
that
think
was,
you
that
were
was my,
three-
that
I
was
think
my,
you were 3 years in a row.
what's that?
I think you were 3 years in a row.
I don't have a memory of that.
Mm.
But in any case, I am not seeking the chair's position now
No, because you want it next year.
because I do what?
He's gotta be nominated, Marge.
I know, Mary.
And so Marge, just to be
Okay,
clear,
we're
you are
going with
predicting,
Mary.
so
we're
just to
going
be
with
clear,
Mary.
you are predicting what my behavior will be a year from now.
Probably,
And you feel
But we're
confident
going-
in making that prediction?
pretty much.
Wow.
We're going with Mary.
I think, was Mary seconded?
I
Cheryl
seconded, I seconded,
He says-
yes. Emphatically,
All right.
yes.
And are you a nay or a yay on the vote? Cheryl said yes to the
Yes,
vote.
yeah.
Let's see. Okay,
Dennis?
Uh,
I will.
Carries.
Threes.
Wait, so and I'm sorry, I didn't understand what
I
Mark
said,
said.
she's got an okay. I don't, you want to take it as a,
it's fine, you're good.
Okay, so it's a yes?
Yeah.
It's
Okay.
unanimous.
Just
then.
clarify.
all right, so now we're looking for for Cheryl, Marge, are you interested in it? I mean, I'll make a motion for.
I respectfully decline that because I feel like somebody shouldn't be physically there to be the clerk. And I'm still a novice on this board. I'd like to get more experience before I consider that.
We haven't thrown you in at the deep end yet? I nominate Marge to be clerk.
I second that nomination.
Dennis?
aye.
Cheryl?
Aye.
Marge?
Wait, no one asked if she accepted the nomination.
My apologies. Do you accept the nomination, Marge?
Yeah. It's fine.
Is that yes or no?
Yes or no?
I said, it's fine.
It's fine.
It's fine.
So,
My vote.
now the vote. Cheryl?
Aye.
Dennis?
Aye.
Marge?
It's fine. Okay.
All right. And Mary's a yes.
Okay.
So that goes to unanimous to Marge being the. So that would take place at the September meeting, so you'll still have to finish out the August meeting.
Yep.
Yeah,
Okay.
all right. Is there anything else we need to, that was the last thing?
Well, I want to congratulate Maya for being,
No. Congratulations. So we will send that I'll get that letter out to the board this week. And
then,
you will hear from them.
So they will likely invite you to the select board meeting on the 18th, or it will be implied that you will be at the select board meeting on the 18th.
No,
August,
next week.
next Tuesday.
Next Tuesday.
It is not obligatory for you to be there. And they do offer a Zoom option as well, so you don't necessarily have to be in person. But if you're not able to make it, that's okay too. They'll still nominate you based on our recommendation, and then you are good to go. And there's a little bit
She'll
of,
have to stop by Susan's.
yeah, so there's a little bit of paperwork to be done, and they'll reach out to you afterwards.
Right.
Yeah.
I'll be in New York from the 15th to the 30th.
Oh, nice.
well,
On a St. Lawrence River.
Oh,
My
fine.
family's house.
All right.
Nice. I
That's a great
believe,
way to spend the month.
I believe, yeah, I believe some of that stuff is in that
Yeah,
policy that I gave you that tells you what you have to do, so, but you will be hearing from the select board on that. But congratulations, we look forward to having you at our
Yeah.
next meeting.
gonna be great to have you.
And I look forward to being a value add and to, provide clarity when I can and, also just support everyone in what they do and just observe and listen. I'm not a disruptor, I'm more of an observer, because that's how you make a positive.
Well, you need to be vocal as well too.
Thanks, Mary.
Like, apparently, we didn't throw Cheryl in often enough at the deep end.
Well,
Well, we
Does-
won't make that mistake with me.
well, there's some background stuff going on too, so very good.
Yeah. I do, and we appreciate everything that everybody does.
Absolutely.
All right,
Congratulations to the new officers.
thanks, Cheryl.
You're welcome.
We need a motion to adjourn.
So
Huh?
We need a
Oh,
motion.
I need a motion to adjourn.
To adjourn.
Second, Cheryl,
Second,
all right.
I say
All in
aye.
favor? Aye, all right.
Or
Thank you for that little tidbit.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
everyone.